Chapter 63. He actually won. On the stand, Yi Yaoting's expression was a little distorted. She was both shocked by the change of the game and painful for her own pocket money. If Lu Cheng had bitterly supported Zhou Yuaning's indiscriminate bombardment and won at the end by exhausting his physical strength, she could barely accept it. But the reality was that Lu Cheng immediately counterattacked after Zhou Yuaning's most ferocious wave of attack and defeated his opponent head-on. Physical strength advantage was a part of the factor, but not the main one. They simply couldn't believe their eyes. Jiang Lan beside her smiled slightly and said, "Fortunately, I didn't bet." Yi Yaoting glanced at her and said, "Sister Lan, don't mention it. How did he win? Didn't I say earlier that Zhou Yuaning's problems and shortcomings are equally obvious?" Jiang Lan smiled and said, "The biggest impact of the lack of actual combat for several years is not only the decline of martial arts level and physical strength, but also the loss of sharpness in the chest. The former two can be barely maintained by daily hard training, but the latter can't be polished without actual combat. It's like a sharp sword. If it is not used for a long time and is not maintained, sooner or later it will become blunt. When it is necessary to make a decision and fight, it will become not brave enough and confident enough." Yi Yaoting said thoughtfully, "No wonder martial arts pay attention to actual combat, momentum, and the breath in the chest. In the arena where the danger of life is reduced a lot, losing sharpness, lack of confidence in your own judgment, and hesitation at the critical moment will lead to defeat to the weak, not to mention the ancient battle of life and death." Yes, Zhou Yuaning had at least 2 opportunities to defeat Lu Cheng, but he missed them because of caution. Instead, Lu Cheng seized the fleeting changes and did not hesitate to press forward and end the battle ahead of time. There is no need to compete with endurance. Jiang Lan flicked her hair. Even the professional martial artists were shocked and flabbergasted by the results of the competition, not to mention the spectators. There was a strange silence around the martial arts arena, with only the sound of the little brats blowing their trumpets occasionally echoing in the air. They blew and stopped, looking around timidly. They didn't understand why the adults suddenly stopped talking. After 20 or 30 seconds, all kinds of sounds suddenly burst out. There were exclamations, praises, cheers, curses, applause, and shouts. Lao Zheng's face was flushed red. He clapped like crazy as if he couldn't feel the pain. After a long time he finally stopped. He looked at his companion beside him in excitement and said with a smile, "Lu Cheng is really amazing. He actually took down a professional 9th pin fighter." Although he was a former professional 9th pin, he was still a professional 9th pin fighter. "I didn't expect it, I really didn't expect it. I thought he was the strongest below professional 9th pin. Old Zheng, you're amazing. Not only did you enjoy the thrill of winning the competition, but you also got the money you won from the bet." His companions all had different reactions. Old Zheng chuckled and said, "Even with the capital, it's only 300 yuan. Let's cut some braised intestines, mix it with pig head meat, buy a few bottles of wine, and have some fun at my house?" "Alright, I'll eat you." The small matter of winning or losing was instantly thrown to the back of his mind. Lu Cheng won. Qin Jilin rubbed his eyes, suspecting that he was hallucinating. How could he see a professional 9th pin fighter being knocked to the ground by Lu Cheng? Lu Yinglong stared blankly for a long time before he sighed and said, "It's only been a few days, but why do I feel like several years have passed? At the beginning I thought I lost because of my carelessness. If I had been more cautious I might have won. But now I'm sure the gap between us is so big that I can't catch up in a short time. I even suspect that he's a different person." "He really won?" Qin Jilin turned to look at elder senior brother. Lu Yinglong looked at the arena and nodded solemnly. "Yes, he won. He really won. He beat a professional 9th pin fighter." "I didn't expect to witness the birth of a miracle," Qin Jilin muttered to himself. In other places, the young lovers in the audience were still shouting and venting. For many people, after witnessing the event of the weak defeating the strong, they naturally had 2 kinds of feelings. One was jealousy, fear, and worry that the inherent order would be disturbed. Hatred, cursing, and wailing for their wallets were based on other reasons. The second was to put themselves in the shoes of others and have feelings of admiration. The strong were undoubtedly revered, and the weak who could challenge the strong and win was even more admirable. One day would they be able to do the same? In their eyes, although Lu Cheng on the arena looked ordinary, he was young and spirited and heroic. Seeing Zhou Yuaning stand up, Lu Cheng was still a little absent-minded. Joy echoed in his heart, producing a hearty and refreshing feeling. It was like going through hardships in an ocean without hope, tasting danger, wandering between life and death, and finally seeing the horizon at the end of the sky. That moment of touching, that moment of joy couldn't be described with words. This was the best taste of victory. He had really defeated a mighty one of professional ninth pin. Even if he wasn't in his best state, even if he was weakened multiple times, he was still a professional ninth pin fighter. Because the opponent was a member of the forum, and his heart was full of the joy of winning, Lu Qing said very graciously, "I almost lost twice just now." Yes, if Zhou Yuaning was a little more daring, a little more determined, and a little more courageous, the one celebrating the victory would be him instead of Lu Qing. So this was a comprehensive competition of luck, strength, judgment, spirit, and courage. Zhou Yuaning shook his head and sighed, "Only once, that was when I hit your back. If I had taken the risk, maybe the result would have been different. As for the second time, I was greedy. When you stood up again on the iron bridge, my breath was already close to the limit. I should have immediately opened up the distance, but with the regret of the previous missed opportunity, I was greedy and added another blow. You took advantage of the flaw and won the game in one go. I was in a dilemma. No, what I mean is that when you took my kick on the iron bridge, you directly returned a whip kick to me, which is very likely to exchange injury for victory." Lu Qing recalled that time and said sincerely, because he was seeking victory in defeat, his dragon turning over body kick actually had many flaws, but his courage overwhelmed Zhou Yuaning, making him choose a more reliable way. For Zhou Yuaning, this was a challenge tournament, not a life and death game. Zhou Yuaning was stunned and showed a trace of a smile. "So it is? No wonder the older generation often say that, the strong fear the young. Before reaching physical invulnerability, what they fear is not only the young's body and strength, but also their courage and spirit." After sighing, he was not in the mood to say more, nor was he in the mood to take photos. He quickly walked to the stone steps and quickly left the arena. His personal belongings were locked in the locker room, and there was no need to take them back from the competition supervisor. Standing on the arena, watching Zhou Yuaning's back disappear at the end of the brilliant lights, Lu Qing felt as if he had become the king of this bluestone field, the only king receiving worship and enjoying power. "Master Lu." Jin Tao waited outside the locker room for a long time until Zhou Yuaning came out. After calling him, he didn't know what to say. At this time, words of comfort were more like opening a scar and poking a wound. Zhou Yuaning's hair was dripping wet, and he said with a bitter smile, "Don't say anything, accompany me to drink 3 or 5 bottles." "Okay." Jin Tao immediately answered. Zhou Yuaning thought for a while and said, "I won't be on the forum for at least a week. It's too damn embarrassing. *****, photos and so on, you help me to post." Just thinking about it made him panic. He had made a bold statement but lost to a nobody. Just thinking about it made him panic. It was better to wait for things to die down and then go back to posting. Lu Qing took back his mobile phone from the competition supervisor and walked to the locker room. He was ecstatic and couldn't wait to share it with Yenjika. To be honest, if Zhou Yuaning didn't leave so quickly, he was so happy that he wanted to expose his identity on the forum and take the opportunity to meet a gay person or something. He opened QQ and was about to send a message when he saw the voice message that he had saved before. His ears seemed to be echoing a clear and passionate song, and he was a little dazed for a while. Subconsciously, he swiped his finger, opened the address book and called Yenjika. At this moment, he wanted to hear Yenjika's voice again, and wanted to tell her the victory personally. Hearing the ringtone, Lu Qing was a little nervous, but more than that, he was happy and expectant. "Hello, Qing." The phone was connected, and Yenjika's familiar voice sounded. Lu Qing blurted out, "I won." There was a short silence at the other end of the phone, and the breathing seemed to be a little heavier. "Really? I don't study much, don't lie to me." Yenjika's voice was a little more surprised. Apparently she had believed it. Listen, the shouts around. Lu Qing put the phone on speaker, facing the stands outside the locker room, and the shouts of Lu Qing were still endless. I feel like I'm dreaming. To be honest, don't be angry, I don't have much confidence," Yenjika said. Lu Qing turned off the speaker, entered the locker room and sat on the metal bench. He answered with a smile, "I didn't have much confidence either, but I have your cheering song, right? It's more powerful than ordinary cheering, and at least it helped me increase my strength by 2 times. Yenjika tried hard to suppress her laughter, and after a while she said, "You're so funny." After that, there was silence between them, and the sound of breathing was faintly heard through the receiver and the radio waves. "I feel like I can't chat without the emoji package." Lu Qing took the initiative to make a joke. Yenjika also laughed and said, that's right, the conversation has become rusty. Come on, tell me honestly, how did you beat the professional ninth pin?" She deliberately used the tone of chatting on the internet to ease the awkwardness of the first phone call. I almost failed twice. Lu Qing described the key points of the competition, paying attention to the interaction between him and Yan Zhika instead of saying everything in one breath. When he talked about his victory, the conversation between them became smooth and familiar again. Hey, thanks to Coach Yan for telling me about the Qi of the Wuthering 8 movements, or I wouldn't have been able to seize that opportunity. He took the opportunity to praise Yan Zhika again. Yan Zhika chuckled and said, I make a living with my brain. And the cheering song. Lu Qing added. Yan Zhika snorted and said, it's just a whim. After that, she changed the topic and said, Qing, I just found out that after the new year, you'll be the second master of the martial arts club. It's only been a while, but I feel like you're possessed by an alien. Her laughter tickled Lu Cheng's ears, and the joy in Lu Cheng's heart gradually became longer and more meaningful. He smiled and said, I think you've already mastered the yin-yang stance and part of the 24 blizzard strikes, but you don't have any actual combat experience. When you practice in this aspect, you'll definitely have the strength of the amateur third pin. How about this? After the new year, I'll often accompany you in actual combat and let Coach Shi be the referee. He instinctively wanted to have more contact with Yan Zhika and have more common experiences. Okay, you'll be a good punching bag, Yan Zhika said in a fierce tone. When they were chatting happily, Wang Yi finished the competition and walked into the locker room. Seeing Lu Qing on the phone, he gave him a thumbs up. Lu Qing responded with a smile, and at the same time introduced the rules of the draw for the top 16 to Yan Zhika. In other words, the first of each group will draw the second of each group, and the same group will avoid each other. Then your opponent tomorrow is either a professional 9th pin or a mighty one of the Danchi stage. Qing, I can only say that you enjoy the battle and enjoy the martial arts. Yan Zhika said in a joking tone. The professional 9th pin in her words was not like Zhou Yuaning, but the best among the professional 9th pin. Lu Qing also replied with a smile, I think so too. Tomorrow I'll just enjoy the competition and the battle and I'll get the prize money later. Hehe, I can carry my luggage and go to Yanling to taste the local delicacies. He could also find a better hotel to stay in. While talking, he thought of the big backpack in the cabinet. According to the original plan, he should go to the train station and return to Xioshan. Unexpectedly, he actually made it to the top 16. At the beginning, even he didn't dare to have such a fantasy. He thought it was too ridiculous. But now, as one of the top 16 in the Warrior Sage Challenge tournament, if he didn't hurry up and book a hotel, it was very likely that he would sleep on the street. The local delicacies of Yanling? Let me see. Yan Zhika said with great interest. I think there's a famous white flour mutton soup. Then I'll try it. Lu Qing said happily. The phone call lasted more than 40 minutes. Lu Qing's phone was hot and the battery was running low. If it wasn't for Yan Zhika's grandma, Lu Qing felt that he would have continued talking. After chatting on QQ for a while, he booked a hotel. It was 400 or 500 yuan a night. Although it was a little expensive, he still wanted to be extravagant as he was about to get the prize money. This time he booked 2 nights. He didn't want to rush too much. Because of the arrival of the Spring Festival, he couldn't get the train ticket back home. He had to wait for the next wave. After tomorrow's match, it was time to call Master and tell him the good news. It was time to show off in front of Kai Xiaoming. When he got home, he would have the courage and confidence to talk about practicing martial arts. At least his current performance showed that he could still make a living, Lu Qing thought. When it was almost 5 o'clock, the top 16 was confirmed. Lu Qing saw his name and the familiar yet strange enemy at the first moment. Yi Yaoting, Lu Qing. P.S. About the cover, haha, it cost me hundreds of yuan. I'd better hang it up for a few days. Waste material is recycled, looking for recommendation votes. Chapter 64. It's that freakishly strong woman? Lu Qing didn't feel anything and even wanted to laugh. His opponent was destined to be one of the best fighters of professional 9th pin or even one of the masters of Danchi State. It was just a matter of probability to draw Yi Yaoting, which couldn't affect his mood at all. I've drawn that freakishly strong woman I mentioned before. He sent a message to Yan Zhika with a snicker emoji, leisurely and relaxed. After the battle with Zhou Yuaning, he had a clear understanding of his current level. His strength was only of amateur 2nd or 3rd pin, but his strength involved Danchi and martial arts. He had many advantages and abnormal physical strength. If he fully exerted his strength without being restrained, he had a stable fighting ability of amateur 1st pin. When he had the upper hand in all aspects such as mentality, state and willpower, He had the hope to challenge Zhou Yuaning, who was obviously a problem with a professional ninth pin. But this was his current limit and there was no hope for him to fight a stronger opponent. On the road of martial arts, self-confidence was very important, but so was self-knowledge. Lu Qing had a good mentality and knew that he had only practiced martial arts for 4 months. Although he had made great progress, his shortcomings were also obvious, which couldn't be made up for in a few days of actual combat. Yan Zhika quickly replied to a clapping monkey emoji, "Not bad. You stole from her and won the second round. Tomorrow it's payback. Ami tofu, everything is predetermined. This girl Yi something is good at tiger and leopard forms. She's fast, agile and has freakishly strong. I'm afraid she'll be difficult to deal with. Don't be so tactful. You mean I'm afraid I'll lose cleanly, and I want to leave the Warrior Sage Challenge tournament with dignity." Lu Qing deliberately used a wronged emoji. Yan Zhika sent a smoking emoji of a singing god. "That's what you said." "I didn't say that. Anyway, enjoy the battle and enjoy the martial arts." She used the old joke again. "Haha, let's not think about this match. Anyway, it's tomorrow afternoon. I'll relax and have a good rest tonight." Lu Qing sent a happy declaration. He didn't want to spend the night watching videos and analyzing the battle. There were 4 matches in the morning and 4 in the afternoon for the top 16. The key matches would be broadcasted by Yenling TV. Although there would not be many viewers, it was still considered more formal. It would be very difficult for a martial arts battle to fill 3 hours with 4 matches. In between, there would definitely be performances such as singing and dancing, boxing, as well as interactive activities with the audience. The reason why the tickets for the first year of the Phoenix Cup Warrior Sage Candidate Challenge Tournament were all free was to attract attention and attract the audience, as well as to accumulate experience in crowd control. Lu Qing? Yi Yaoting looked at the table and was stunned for a while. After a long time, she gnashed her teeth and said, "Give me back my pocket money." Jiang Lan, who was beside her, laughed and said, "I didn't expect you to meet each other. Then I can bet on you winning tomorrow." I must make him understand the consequences of cheating my money. Yi Yaoting deliberately made herself laugh evilly. Next, the top 16 contestants gathered in the small conference room where they had signed the integrity contract last time to receive the 5,000 yuan bonus. When Lu Qing stepped in, he was glanced at by many people. Some were curious, some were sizing him up, and some were admiring him. Compared to the silence in the corner last time, he seemed to have become the focus of the crowd. This was inevitable. No matter where he went, the fact that he defeated a fighter of professional ninth pin as a rankless fighter was worthy of attention. Li Xiaoyuan waved his hand and signaled Lu Qing to sit over there. Lu Qing, of course, was willing to sit with someone he knew, so he walked a small circle to the corner. When he passed by Yi Yaoting, he was glared at by her. "Why are you staring at me? I didn't do anything to her, did I?" Lu Qing was confused, but he did not bother to think about it. Anyway, after tomorrow they would be at opposite ends of the world. There would be no chance for them to meet again. "You owe Yi Yaoting money?" Li Xiaoyuan joked. Lu Qing shook his head blankly. "I don't even know her. Maybe she has a crush on me and suspects that we have an improper relationship." Li Xiaoyuan chuckled and put on a serious face. Lu Qing's mouth twitched twice and glanced at him. "Boy, watch your image. Don't make such a heavy joke. Be a good artistic youth." This guy's appearance of a banished immortal was too deceptive. "Hey, isn't it good to be happy in life? Besides, Yi Yaoting and I are not on good terms. When she sees that we look like friends, of course she hates you." Li Xiaoyuan spread his hands. Being from Yanling as one of the most outstanding fighters among the young generation, he and Yi Yaoting had crossed paths before. Lu Qing's curiosity was aroused. He asked with interest, "How did you offend her? Or did she do something to you?" Li Xiaoyuan lowered his voice and said, "It's mainly because I think she looks very strange. Someone spread the news to her." Lu Qing subconsciously looked at Yi Yaoting. Her eyebrows were thick, her nose was straight, and her eyes were not too big, but they were full of spirit. She looked quite pretty. Although she was not as beautiful as Yan Zhika, she was far from being strange. "You really think she looks strange?" Lu Qing also lowered his voice and asked. Li Xiaoyuan nodded seriously. "Yes." Lu Qing thought for a while and patted Li Xiaoyuan's shoulder. "Boy, you need to get a pair of glasses. It's my honest advice." Then he added, "Why do I feel like you're still joking?" Li Xiaoyuan looked relaxed. "My aesthetic sense has been criticized since I was a child. You're not the only one." After 2 contacts, Lu Qing found that Li Xiaoyuan was really easy to get along with. Lu Cheng was about to say something else when the person in charge of the competition had already walked up. Behind him were bodyguards carrying a black box. When the box was opened, there were bright red $100 bills inside. The other bodyguards were also carrying money detectors and other items. I wanted to give everyone a card with a password ending with a number. But 5,000 is not necessary. Let's just give it in cash. The person in charge of the competition picked up a stack of bills and counted them with the money detector. It was exactly 5,000. Obviously he had already prepared it. After checking each stack, the bodyguards distributed the bills according to the order of the seats. Lu Cheng felt a heavy sense of satisfaction as soon as he held the thick bills in his hand. Money was still very magical. Without them he would have to sleep on the streets tonight. If he didn't use his own money or change the ticket refund money, he would have to starve tomorrow. Without them he wouldn't be able to enjoy the delicious food tonight. He would still have to eat simple meals. Without them he would have to make ends meet with Yenjika at the beginning of the school year. And this was the first money he had earned in his life, the first pot of gold he had earned with his own ability. He was no longer a child who simply relied on his parents. On the bus, Lu Cheng carried his luggage and changed into his daily clothes. He looked at the navigation map leisurely. There were only 2 more stops before he reached the Yenling Zhang's white noodles and mutton soup restaurant that Yenjika had mentioned. He had found a bank nearby and deposited most of his prize money into his card. He only had 1,500 yuan left on him for hotel accommodation and daily expenses. He felt that his budget was quite sufficient. I feel like I've become a millionaire. Lu Cheng sent a message to Yenjika. Yenjika laughed with her hand over her mouth. Yeah, Cheng is really awesome. Other people can't earn this much even if they work part-time for a month. You're exaggerating. Lu Cheng sent a dumbfounded emoji. Yenjika replied to leisurely monkey pounding his chest. I learned it from you. While chatting and laughing, Lu Cheng got off the bus and followed the map into a small alley. Near a residential area with at least 20 years of history, he found the Yenling Zhang's white noodle mutton soup restaurant. It was not even 5:30 yet, but there were already people lining up in the cubicle. The restaurant was full, which showed how good the business was. After waiting for half an hour, Lu Cheng finally got his turn. He was led to the smallest table, a table for 4. I feel weird sitting at a table for 4 by myself. Lu Cheng sent a dumbfounded emoji to Yenjika. Yenjika sent an emoji of an onion pushing up her glasses. Now you know the sorrow of being single? That's why I never eat a big meal alone. Do you want me to put my phone across and pretend that you're here? Lu Cheng laughed evilly. Yenjika sent a scolding emoji. You want me to see but not eat? Are you trying to break off our friendship? Time flew while they were chatting. Lu Cheng's order was soon delivered. A bowl of milky white fish and mutton soup, a bowl of sliced mutton, and a bowl of white bread recommended by the restaurant owner. Lu Cheng drank a mouthful of soup first and felt his mouth was full of freshness. He couldn't help but drink a few more mouthfuls. He wanted to give 128 likes. It was said that the fish and mutton soup in this restaurant was first boiled with crucian carps and then stir-fried mutton in the middle. It was cooked with secret seasonings until the soup turned white. The taste was rich but not greasy. The white flatbread was eaten in imitation of the Northwest style of eating steamed buns. It was broken into several pieces and placed into the soup to absorb the delicious juices. With one bite, the freshness of the soup and the wheat fragrance of the flatbread blended together, making one want to swallow their tongue. Compared to this, the sliced mutton was quite ordinary even if it was not bad. Lu Cheng chatted while eating. He took a picture and sent it to Yenjika. He was severely despised. When he came back to his senses he had finished everything. The portions of the food in this restaurant were not small. One serving was equivalent to 3 or 4 servings of Jiangnan province. Touching his bulging belly, Lu Cheng felt warm all over. In the cold wind, he didn't need to wear a down jacket, not to mention a sweater that he hadn't worn since winter. After practicing martial arts he was full of qi and blood. The tight long johns inside and the down jacket outside were enough for him. The new hotel had a new front desk. Although the room was not as good as the one in Lu Cheng's preview photo, it was not bad. The space was large, the furnishings were warm, the facilities were new, the carpet was thick, and more importantly, the broadband was fast. Lu Cheng lay on the bed and felt the beauty of relaxation. He felt that every cell in his body was screaming and singing. While chatting with Yenjika on his phone, he browsed the forum. As soon as he entered the live post, he saw Brahmin, a junior high school girl, unparalleled Dragon King, Invincible Punch, Pig Riding Knight, a plumber eating mushroom and others. You uncles came out and bullied me because I was young. How dare you lie to me? You said my new idol was only of amateur second or third pin and couldn't beat Uncle Arena. You said my new idol was still far away from professional ninth pin. You made me doubt him and didn't support him to win. Grandpa can bear it but Grandma can't. You have to give me an explanation. Accompanying her questioning tone was an emoji of laughing with arms akimbo. Obviously she was showing off for her new idol, Lu Cheng. Chapter 65. Influenced by Brahman's showing off and smugness, Lu Cheng was also a little complacent. He felt something called cool in his heart and couldn't wait to read everyone's replies. Beautiful world used ellipses and a sentence to express her feelings. This is not scientific. Outspoken was even more suspicious. Did Lu Cheng take some elixir? Otherwise how could he beat Master Road? First, it's allowed by the rules. Second, is it worth 5,000 yuan for the top 16? Isn't it harmful to the body? Plumber eating mushrooms retorted outspoken. That's right. If I had the money to buy pills, why would I be ecstatic over 5,000 yuan? Lu Cheng nodded slightly. As the saying goes, one is marked by the company one keeps. Couples and boyfriends become more and more alike. He had unconsciously learned some of Yenjika's language habits. Unparalleled Dragon King appeared and said with a dazed expression, "How do you explain? When I heard the news I was King stunned. This is not reasonable." I paused for a long time before I remembered to watch the video of the match. I realized that although Master Road always had the upper hand and had a chance to win, the way he fought, how should I put it? He wasn't resolute enough and didn't fight hard enough. On the contrary, when Lu Cheng seized that short moment of opportunity, he fought with great momentum, decisiveness and sharpness. It was as if he had put everything on the line. When two rivals meet on a narrow road, the brave wins. Pig Riding Knight also replied. In other words, he lost in the small arena because of his mentality? He made me look at his naked body without any reaction. Wonton seller, said the little girl. No hooligan snickered and replied, you think Master Road's body is not as good as Little Fist's? No. I'm thinking about how he lost in the small arena. How did you lose? Wonton seller sent a helpless emoji with its hands outstretched. Okamoto's fan said with tears in his eyes, you bad guys. Yesterday you were so confident in your discussion that I thought Master Road was going to win. So I bet on him. Today I'm paralyzed at home waiting for the rooftop. Really? Fake. Don't scare me. Wonton seller replied quickly. Okamoto's fan said, it's fake? But I lost a month's worth of cigarette money. I'm crying in the toilet. A plumber eating mushrooms sighed and said, sighing expression, Lu Cheng is really at the level of an amateur first pin fighter. There isn't much of a gap between a fighter of this level and a professional ninth pin fighter who has been neglected for a few years. Improvisation is more important. Mentality and willpower are more important. Hee, thank you for the compliment, thank you for the compliment. Every reply made Lu Cheng burst with joy. This is what it means to be secretly happy. As he continued reading, the little girl Brahmin jumped out again. She laughed and said, have you seen the reality? Oh, where are the photos? Unparalleled Dragon King replied, I think I saw a picture of the top 16 on the official website. I'll help you look for it. 10 seconds later he appeared in the photo. Wearing the navy blue Longhu Club martial arts suit, Lu Cheng stood in the middle of the ring. The overhead lights seemed to cover him with a layer of brilliance. When did you take this? Not bad. Lu Cheng was surprised at first, but then he was pleasantly surprised. This photo seemed to be taken by the official photographer after he defeated Zhou Yuaning. The angle was good and he looked more handsome than usual. Never offend a photographer, he complained. He saved the photo and sent it to Yenjika. In his computer's hard drive, there was now a folder named Yenling Martial Arts Journey. It was dedicated to storing videos, photos, and information related to this competition as a souvenir. Similarly, there was also a folder named Yen. It was filled with saved voice recordings and exported chat records. To avoid losing them, he had made many copies of this folder and saved them on every drive. Not bad. I almost didn't recognize it. Yenjika quickly replied with an expression of pushing up glasses. I now believe in the photographer's magic of Photoshop and beautification. Without the latter two I feel brand new. Lu Cheng snickered. I found that you don't like to show your photos? Yenjika replied concisely, lazy, annoying and bad photography skills. Then I have to practice my photography skills. Maybe I can take photos that satisfy you. Lu Qing said ambiguously. Then you have to work hard. If you make me look ugly, Yan Zhika said in a lively tone. While they were chatting, Lu Qing continued to read the replies. Brahmin said, wow, my new idol is not bad. He seems to be a fan of the Longhu Club too. What a coincidence. Wonton Seller scratched her head and said, why does he look familiar? I think so too. Above the Sky posted a reply after a long time. I remember. Wait a minute. She quickly sent a link to a post. Go and see. We watched the National University Martial Arts Competition program before. Look at the passerby at the beginning. Damn it, I even said that the silly little brother was quite cute at that time. When did I learn the supernatural ability to see the essence through appearances? What? Brahmin said with a cute emoji. Let me see first. After a short while, Wonton Seller replied. It's really that passerby young man? How did the kid who laughed foolishly and said he felt honored suddenly become a mysterious master who could defeat a professional ninth pin fighter? Do you think it's because he's good at acting and pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger? Or is he really so silly that he became a master as soon as he got on the stage? Above the Sky also expressed a mixture of shock and doubt. So it's him? Unparalleled Dragon King couldn't hide his surprise. His performance at that time didn't seem to be fake. But he can't become a strong amateur first pin fighter in just 4 months, right? That's F*King unbelievable. It's possible. Maybe he has a supernatural ability? But a 4-month-old rookie fighter can defeat a bunch of masters. If Master Road knew, he would be so angry that he would vomit blood. A plumber eating mushrooms replied. Unparalleled Dragon King still didn't believe it. I've checked and there's no information about him. Let me see if I can ask my classmates in Songqing University. In the midst of the shock, Brahmin said with a laugh. I didn't expect that my new idol would have such a silly past. I want to preserve it. I want to appreciate it again and again. I want to make it into an emoji pack. If he really becomes a famous fighter in the future, this will be a black history, a stain in my life. Damn. She even dug up this. Lu Cheng's mouth twitched. He always felt that this black history of laughing passerby would accompany him for life. He spent the whole night browsing the forum, chatting with Yan Zhika, replying to the messages that he didn't have time to care about and watching funny videos. He relaxed his body and mind as if he was on vacation. The next morning, after returning from training, Lu Qing still watched Yi Yaoting's competition videos to find relevant information. This was the habit of a fighter. No matter what, he couldn't lose too badly, right? As the Spring Festival was approaching, more and more units and companies were on holiday. The majority of the spectators who went to watch the challenge tournament at Yanling Martial Arts Stadium were no longer students on winter vacation. Somewhere in the stands there were 2 girls. One of them was wearing the Iya Martial Arts School's training suit with a ponytail. She was looking around excitedly with a trumpet in her hand. The girl next to her was petite, perhaps only a little more than 1.5 meters tall. She had a pretty face and was engrossed in playing with her phone. Her ears were completely oblivious to what was happening outside. The girl with the ponytail turned around and saw that her companion was not interested in the atmosphere of the competition. She suddenly shouted, Yan Shaoling. The petite girl shivered instinctively and looked up at her companion blankly. What? Look at you. How many days have you been on holiday? Every day you stay in bed playing with your mobile phone. I asked you to go shopping with me, you didn't eat with me, and you didn't come to watch the martial arts competition with me. It's like you're glued to your bed. Other than eating, drinking, and going to the toilet, how many days have you stayed in bed? The girl with the ponytail said. Yan Shaoling glanced at her companion and whispered, 5, 6, 7, 8 days? Her voice was tender like a child talking. 5, 6, 7, 8 days. What do you mean by staying in bed during the holidays? Don't you think it's a waste of life? The girl with the ponytail was angry from being stood up again and again. Yan Shaoling didn't dare to look at her. I think it's a waste of life if I don't stay in bed. You still dare to say that? What are you going to do in the future? How are you going to find a boyfriend? If you have the ability, you can marry a mobile phone or a bed. The girl with the ponytail was exasperated. She looked into the distance angrily and pretended to ignore her. Yan Shaoling saw that her companion's gaze had turned to another direction. She stole a glance and turned around. She muttered word by word, if possible. What did you say? The girl with the ponytail suddenly turned her head. I didn't say anything. Yan Shaoling's eyes were bright. Forget it, I'm too lazy to talk to you. Remember to cheer for my senior sister Yi later. The girl with the ponytail sighed. Okay, Yan Shaoling answered briskly. While the audience was waiting for the match, Yi Yaoting was exercising in one of the female locker rooms. Although you have no problem winning against Lu Cheng, don't be careless. Who knows what he will do next? Jiang Lan reminded her with a smile. In the morning match, Huang Jinzhong, Li Xiaoyuan and Wang Yi were the first to enter the top 8. Don't worry, Sister Lan. I won't be careless at all. Thinking that a martial artist who has shocked everyone time and time again will be defeated by me, I feel very excited. Yi Yaoting answered excitedly. In a male locker room, Lu Cheng was holding his mobile phone. He sent a message to Yan Zhika with a smile on his face. Only 5 minutes left before I cry bitterly. He amused himself and others with self-deprecation. Haha, you can't lose too badly or I'll pretend not to know you when I see the video, Yan Zhika replied with a magical expression of the pawn master. I'll try my best. Lu Cheng replied with a smile. After a while he didn't log out of QQ. He put away his mobile phone, pushed open the door of the locker room and walked to the center ring. Before he got close he saw Yi Yaoting waiting there. Her pink and white figure was as straight as a spear. Chapter 66. Handing the phone to the competition supervisor, Lu Cheng walked up the stone steps to the arena. Before he could stand still, his eyes were blinded by the flashes of the cameras. It seemed that many cameras were recording the scene just now. I thought the big boss would appear at the last moment. Lu Cheng was relaxed and made a joke during the conversation. To be honest, he was a little surprised that Yi Yaoting was waiting for him instead of him. It was not in line with her usual style. Yi Yaoting tied up her hair, showing her smooth forehead. She chuckled and said, "Are you implying that you are the big boss?" "You can say that. After all, the big boss will be defeated by the protagonist." Lu Cheng answered with a smile, but in his heart, he was complaining about himself. This should be the state of mind of winning and being happy even if losing. The only problem was that he could only lose and not win. You are quite good at talking. Yi Yaoting was quite surprised, but soon her pretty face became serious. You made me lose 1,000 yuan. Lu Cheng was confused. What is this about? I bet on you to lose yesterday. Yi Yaoting's serious face suddenly showed a smile. But I don't care about that anymore. After I found out that my opponent was you, I felt full of motivation. There is nothing more exciting than defeating a martial artist who rises quickly. This is also to increase your life experience so that you won't become arrogant and suffer more setbacks in the future. Lu Cheng was not moved at all by her deliberately old-fashioned words. He even wanted to laugh. According to the information, she should be the same age as him, but she directly chose the road of martial arts and did not go to college, just like most of the professional martial artists. Because of this, people like Peng Liyun, Ren Li Lin Ke and Li Xiaoyuan were the center of attention in the martial arts circle in college. Speaking in this tone at her age, didn't she feel that it was too obvious that she was acting? I think I have always been modest and never arrogant. Lu Cheng tried to make his eyes look sincere. Yi Yaoting did not expect him to be so good-tempered. She could not continue with the planned provocation, so she bit her lips and said, "Anyway, I will let you know the gap between you and a real professional ninth pin fighter. I'm looking forward to it." Lu Cheng smiled and showed 8 teeth. His expression was leisurely, without any emotion. He stopped talking and began to put away his distracting thoughts. He adjusted his body and moved his muscles slightly, pushing the state away bit by bit. Although the gap between him and his opponent was indeed very large, and he had already tacitly agreed to lose, since he had stepped onto the arena, he had to give it his all and display everything he had learned. He had to live up to the name of a martial artist. Time passed quickly. The referee raised his right hand and swung it down heavily. "Begin." Before he could finish his words, the surrounding stands burst into cheers and shouts. The names of Yi Yaoting and Lu Cheng reverberated throughout the martial arts arena. "Senior sister Yi, you can do it." A girl with a ponytail imitated Yi Yaoting's style and screamed loudly. Yan Shaoling, a girl with a childish face and a childish voice, was arranged to blow a small trumpet, exactly like the elementary school students around her. Like a cheetah, Yi Yaoting instantly turned from a standstill to a sprint. She closed the distance between them in 2 or 3 steps and was about to raise her body like a fierce tiger waving its claws. Lu Cheng knew that she not only had extraordinary strength, but also had an explosive unique skill, so he did not face her head-on. Instead, he shifted his center of gravity, bounced his waist and back and shot to the side like lightning. As a professional ninth pin fighter, Yi Yaoting had already mastered meditation in order to reach the Danqi stage. Although she had not fully mastered it, she also practiced martial arts similar to yin-yang stance and lightning and fire stance. Seeing that Lu Qing dodged, she twisted her waist and back, adjusted her muscles and easily changed her direction in high speed. She directly chased behind Lu Qing without any sluggishness or difficulty, which made those who knew martial arts admire her. Her speed was much faster than Lu Qing. In a breath, Lu Qing heard the movement symbolizing danger. He was shocked and immediately took a step to the left. As soon as he took a step, his spine was like a dragon waking up, suddenly bouncing and pulling back his muscles. He forcibly changed his direction and dodged to the right, trying to get rid of Yi Yaoting. Yi Yaoting kicked out her left foot, which seemed to have been shaken by Lu Qing. However, her whole leg suddenly straightened and hit the ground, creating an oblique recoil force. She twisted her body and caught up with Lu Qing in a flash. She raised her right arm and threw a downward punch, which sounded like a tiger's roar, majestic and awe-inspiring. Facing such a blow, it was too late for Lu Qing to shift his center of gravity, so he had to lower his body quickly and throw a diagonal punch with his right fist like a giant hammer. In his mind, he had already imagined the scene of lightning falling from the sky and igniting a prairie fire. His whole body seemed to be surging with hot currents. Yi Yaoting's extraordinary strength and explosive power were still fresh in his memory, so he did not dare to be careless. Bang! In a muffled sound, Lu Qing blocked Yi Yaoting's attack, but his body seemed to be hit by a giant tree. From his arms to the tips of his feet, he was slightly trembling. His center of gravity was shaken and he could not adjust his body for a while, feeling the suppression of strength. Yi Yaoting had already twisted her waist and back, twisting the strength of her whole body into one. She tightened her thighs and pulled out with a snap, sweeping toward Lu Qing's leg with a sharp wind. Lu Qing took a breath and quickly adjusted his muscles. He tightened his left leg and lifted it out, suddenly using the abrupt force to block Yi Yaoting's whip kick. In the sound of a snap, he only felt a pain in his calf bone. Although he was not injured, he couldn't wait to rub it. But reality did not give him the chance. Just as he steadied himself, Yi Yaoting punched him again. It was like a cannon that could open a mountain but also like a fierce hammer. The crisp sound seemed to explode in his ears. When his left foot landed on the ground, Lu Qing's mind was struck by lightning and the snow-capped peak collapsed. He hurriedly raised his hands and barely blocked this punch. But under the explosion of strength, his body trembled again, like a person hiding in an ancient bell. Although the bell ringer outside did not directly hit him, after a loud bang he was attacked by shock waves in all directions. He seemed to be on the verge of collapse and dizziness. Yi Yaoting seized the upper hand and did not let him go. She opened her arms and continuously slashed like a tiger, constantly scratching and beating. It was not beautiful, but it was absolutely terrifying. Bang bang bang. Lu Qing continued to parry with the mega avalanche and the lightning and fire stance. His physical strength had been exhausted after the first few blows. His Jindan began to rotate slowly, releasing a stream of heat to soothe his fatigue and provide him with an endless supply of energy. Only then could he barely hold on. In the stands, Jianglan was drinking yogurt. She was not moved by the situation at all. She only felt that it was natural. Waves of cheers were louder and louder in her ears. It seemed that with each hit of Yi Yaoting, the cheers were getting crazier and crazier. The enthusiasm seemed to break through the dome. Bang, bang, bang. In the shouts one after another, Yi Yaoting attacked crazily. Lu Qing's arms began to hurt and he gradually felt that he was out of breath. He was really out of breath. What a ferocious attack. Lu Qing's chest was tight and he was about to be unable to resist. At this time, Yi Yaoting took a step back and immediately bounced forward. Her arms took advantage of the forward momentum and launched cannon punches at the same time. She wanted to overturn Lu Qing with this attack. This was what it meant to oppress people with strength. Lu Qing, who kept squeezing the Jindan for support, seemed to have reached a limit. His chest was so tight that it felt like it was drowned. He couldn't take a breath or release the strength. He could barely hold up his arms and couldn't effectively defend. However, his mind was calm, like the strange peace before suffocation. Only the visualized snow continued to roll down and collapse. At this time he inexplicably looked into the Jindan in his lower abdomen. He saw that the bright and dreamy nebula suddenly expanded. Little ice crystals left the track and flew out of the ball, connecting with the visualized picture in his mind. That was hundreds of millions of pounds of snow falling from the towering peaks. That was a white torrent that could drown all traces of life. Changes happened after the limit. The rolling cold tide suddenly broke out and surged in Lu Cheng's body. The momentum seemed to be able to tear his internal organs apart, forcing him to change from a fight to a fight and launch a punch. Bang! The snow mountain collapsed. Everything was white. Lu Cheng blocked 2 punches with his whip and collided with Yi Yaoting's attack. Bang! With a muffled sound, 2 figures separated. It was Yi Yaoting who retreated. In the stands, Jiang Lan, Li Xiaoyuan and the others stood up suddenly. The audience was silent. Lu Cheng saw Yi Yaoting's shocked expression, but he couldn't control the avalanche torrent in his body. He took a step forward and compressed all his muscles. In an instant he launched a blast punch with his left hand. Yi Yaoting hurriedly stabilized her center of gravity and blocked the blow with a horizontal hammer. Just as they collided, she took a step back with her left foot to neutralize some of the force. She still remembered the previous collision and felt that the strength was much stronger than her. Therefore, although she was shocked, she didn't dare to underestimate him anymore. How could this be? Where did he get such terrifying strength? He was forced into such a situation. How could he burst out such strength like a primitive giant beast? Bang! Yi Yaoting's arm went numb. She couldn't neutralize all the force by taking a step back, so she had to take another step back. But before she could stand firm, her eyes reflected the image of Lu Cheng approaching her and hitting her sideways with his elbow. Yi Yaoting took a short breath. In her mind, she thought of a flood breaking through a dam. She bounced forward instead of retreating. She burst out all the strength in her body and hit Lu Cheng hard. Bang! The sound of the collision was much louder than before, and it seemed to reverberate in the hearts of every spectator, causing them to involuntarily tremble. Yi Yaoting blocked the blow, but her body was trembling as if she was having a cold war. In the horrified eyes of the audience, Lu Cheng took advantage of the situation and hit her hard with a whip punch. She directly opened her stance. The avalanche momentum was unstoppable. The cold current in Lu Cheng's body dissipated a lot, but there was still some left. The muscles of his left leg tightened. He was about to launch a whip kick to defeat Yi Yaoting completely. At this moment, his body was pressed and trembled, which made him lose his momentum. He turned his head and found the referee. The referee raised his right hand and announced loudly, "Lu Cheng wins." Lu Cheng wins? All this was so dreamy and so fake, even in Lu Cheng's eyes. Yi Yaoting didn't stop trembling. She smiled bitterly with some fear. "So I'm not the protagonist?" Lu Cheng didn't answer because he felt like he was going to die. The cold dissipated. The Jindan was out of balance and threw out a few flames, which made him feel like he was burning. His forehead was hot and his cheeks were abnormally red. "Thanks for the match." He spat out 2 words with difficulty. He took back his phone and hurried back to the locker room, leaving thousands of people in silence and professional martial artists who were like stone statues. In the locker room, Lu Cheng went into the bathroom, put away his phone, took off his clothes and turned on the cold water. The cold water sprinkled on the surface of his body, but Lu Cheng's burning heat didn't diminish at all. This reminded him of the burnt black carp, which made him groan in pain. "Damn, this backfire is too horrible. Will I die here?" Chapter 67. The showerhead kept spewing out cold water, chilling him to the bone and heart. In the dead of winter, it was enough to make any normal person retreat. However, in Lu Cheng's senses, it was like a life-saving straw that could slightly extinguish the burning in him. He only felt that his body was hot and dry. His lungs were like bellows. Every breath was like spurting flames. His head was getting hotter and hotter, and his consciousness was getting more and more blurred. He instinctively curled up and put his body completely in the range of the cold water. In the small cabinet next to him, his mobile phone flashed. The locked screen showed that there was a message, temporarily illuminating the darkness. In the martial arts hall outside the locker room, the strange silence continued. No one dared to believe their own eyes, and no one was willing to doubt their own common sense. The ignorant children were affected by the surrounding situation. They subconsciously felt scared and didn't dare to play with things like the trumpet anymore. Jiang Lan stood in the guest seat, looking at Yi Yaoting who was still trembling. Her eyes were full of astonishment and shock. The yogurt bottle in her hand was almost crushed by her. In yesterday's battle, Lu Cheng defeating Zhou Yuaning was within her expectation. It could only be said that it was slightly beyond her expectation. But the battle just now had really subverted her cognition. With her martial arts experience and insight, the possibility of Lu Cheng defeating Yi Yaoting was only 1%. And this was based on the premise that Yi Yaoting was not in a good state, arrogant and careless. But the reality taught her a lesson. Did he take some elixir or a newly developed foreign stimulant? No, if so, he wouldn't have fallen into an absolute disadvantage at the beginning. He would not have been beaten by Yi Yaoting until he was on the verge of defeat. Countless thoughts flashed through her mind. She saw Yi Yaoting's lonely figure leaving the ring and walking to the female locker room. She sighed with concern in her eyes. Without thinking about anything else, she rushed to comfort her best friend. Seeing Jiang Lan hurriedly passing by in front of them, Wang Yi and Li Xiaoyuan, the two stone bodhisattvas, finally came to their senses. This is not right. Wang Yi muttered to himself with a fluctuating expression. If Lu Cheng could break out such a horrible fighting force in a desperate situation, how could he beat him before? But everything in front of them wasn't an illusion. Yi Yaoting had obviously tried her best and wasn't faking it. The power that Lu Cheng displayed was so real in the eyes of professional martial artists like them. It was as if they were witnessing the arrival of an avalanche, making them shudder. I don't think that makes sense either. Li Xiaoyuan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Wang Yi took a deep breath and showed a thoughtful expression. What do you think happened? Li Xiaoyuan thought about it seriously and said, according to the third-rate novels I've read, Lu Cheng must have broken through himself under pressure in a desperate situation and awakened some amazing supernatural ability. It's possible. Wang Yi was silent for a few seconds before nodding slightly. Li Xiaoyuan's mouth twitched. I'm just kidding, it's really possible. Wang Yi looked at him seriously. For a moment, Li Xiaoyuan was actually speechless. With his senses blurred, Lu Cheng felt that everything around him had become extremely distant and could no longer be touched. All the movements seemed to come from the sky, so ethereal that they disappeared in a flash. Flames seemed to be surging in his body, boiling his blood and burning his internal organs, which made him so uncomfortable and so unbearable. Most of the thoughts faded away like a tide, leaving only a few struggling to hold on and on the verge of fainting. Am I really going to die? No, I have to get up and go to see a doctor. I can't die here. Hallucinatory scenes kept appearing in his mind. There was the carefree happiness when he was young, the suffering of family difficulties when he started studying, the heartache when he looked at his mother's tired back, the sadness when he heard that his father was wronged outside, and the ecstasy when Yanjika cheered for him for the first time. Suddenly the phone rang and the small cabinet kept vibrating. It seemed that someone was worried and anxious far away. Lu Cheng heard the sound, but it was like a nightmare. No matter how hard he struggled, he was still curled up under the cold water. Am I really going to die here? In the women's locker room, Yi Yaoting sat quietly on the bench. Her tied hair was messy and hung down on both sides, covering her expression. Only a pair of black and white eyes that were blank and lost could be seen. Her body was still slightly trembling. Jiang Lan just walked in and saw such a scene. She was slightly distressed and said, something must have happened to that guy. It's not your problem. Yi Yaoting raised her head, her black hair falling back, and her pale cheeks showing traces of green. She said in confusion, I'm not sad. While speaking, she unbuttoned her tight sleeves and rolled them up, exposing her arms to Jiang Lan. There was a thin layer of white frost condensing there. The real white frost was evaporating. This. Jiang Lan sucked in a cold breath. In the stands, the weird, wide-range silence finally began to ease. Some people were cheering loudly, some were venting loudly, some were muttering to themselves, and some were cursing and swearing, thinking that Yi Yaoting and Lu Cheng were cooperating with the bookmakers to fake the fight. Yan Shaoling, a girl with a childish face and a childish voice, looked at the arena with her mouth half open, still in a daze. The ponytailed girl recovered from the great shock and loss. She turned her head and saw her best friend's expression. She said in a bad mood, why are you opening your mouth so wide? I really want to put a piece of sh*t in your mouth. Yan Shaoling suddenly closed her mouth, looking confused. Senior sister Yi lost, senior sister Yi actually lost. The ponytailed girl whispered sadly to herself. Seeing this, Yan Shaoling secretly turned her head and looked in the opposite direction, whispering to herself, so fierce, so violent, so handsome. No, my maiden heart is acting up. She looked at the service desk, planning to ask for the details of the boy just now and go home to download his competition video and related news. As a member of the squirrel gang, collecting, classifying and saving is instinct. In the reporters' seats, someone finally woke up and showed an abnormal excitement, writing quickly, the Phoenix Cup Warrior Sage Candidate Challenge Tournament is the biggest upset since the start of the tournament. The mysterious expert Lu Cheng is a dark hand. As if suffering for a long time, Lu Cheng felt a little better and had a clear perception of the surroundings and the outside world. He struggled to stand up but found that he was still weak all over. His forehead and cheeks were still hot, but the burning feeling in his body was slowly dissipating. I almost died. He turned off the tap and thought with lingering fear, fortunately I didn't test the limit when I was training my endurance. He felt that he had been suffering for several days and nights, but when he moved to the cabinet, he found that only 20 minutes had passed. He picked up his phone and found that there were more than a dozen missed calls from Yenjika. She called almost every minute. She must be worried about losing contact after the competition. Lu Cheng felt a burst of joy for no reason, as if he understood Yenjika's anxiety for him. This was an indescribable feeling, and the discomfort in his body seemed to be relieved a little. He struggled to dry his body, put on his underwear, and quickly called Yenjika back. Hello, Cheng? Yenjika's voice was obviously anxious. It's me. Lu Cheng felt that his voice was unbelievably hoarse. Yenjika was obviously relieved. Fortunately, it's you. I was afraid that it would be an emergency call. You scared me to death, you know? Why didn't you answer the phone? Her voice trembled as if she was about to cry. Lu Cheng was suddenly moved, his eyes slightly red, and his heart filled with joy. He said honestly, I almost fainted just now, I just got over it. I thought I was imagining things. You didn't reply to my message just now, so I watched the video first. I found that your last outburst was too terrifying. I thought something must have happened to you, so I called you immediately. But you didn't answer. I was worried that you might have fainted and been sent to the emergency room. Or maybe you were just lying in the corner without anyone noticing. I was so worried that I even wanted to call the organizer. Yenjika said in one breath. Her voice was a little hoarse, not as soft and clear as usual. Fortunately, I got over it. Don't worry. Lu Cheng comforted Yenjika, his heart filled with warmth. Yenjika exhaled and said, It's good that you got over it. How do you feel now? I feel like I'm sick and have a fever. Lu Cheng answered honestly. Then why are you still on the phone? Go see a doctor. Yenjika yelled fiercely. Lu Cheng didn't feel that he was being yelled at. Instead, he felt inexplicably happy. Yes, ma'am. Talk to you later. Go. Yenjika urged him. After hanging up the phone, Lu Cheng put on his coat, packed up a little and walked to the emergency room. His feet were weak as if he was walking on clouds. His head was dizzy and his forehead and cheeks were still hot. Lu Cheng, Songqing University student, 18 years old, no rank. Wow, no rank. Yan Shaoling looked at the detailed information in her hand and kept exclaiming. The ponytail girl rolled her eyes. I told you about him before, but you didn't listen at all. Hee. Yan Shaoling laughed but didn't dare to answer. What do you want to do with Lu Cheng's information? The ponytail girl asked in confusion. Yan Shaoling nodded hard. I kind of admire him. He was so cool and awesome just now. I want to set up a personal forum and post bar for him. I want to be his first fan. I want to go to Songqing University. You're talking as if you can get in if you want to, you little love-struck fool. The ponytail girl calmed down and joked. In the emergency room, the doctor checked the thermometer and then looked at Lu Cheng as if he was looking at a monster. You beat Yi Yaoting with a fever of 40 degrees. I'll give you an antipyretic injection and physical cooling in case you become a fool from the fever, Lu Cheng answered weakly. I got a high fever from the beating. Ah, don't joke. The doctor laughed. I'm not joking. Lu Cheng was speechless. Chapter 68. On the central ring, the singing and dancing performances were in full swing. However, the audience's reaction was quite indifferent, as if they were still immersed in the previous match. Zheng and the others didn't completely recover until now. They looked at each other and found the remaining shock in each other's eyes. Every time I thought I knew Lu Cheng's limit, but every time I saw him break it. One of the companions said incoherently. Yeah, every time there is a surprise, every time there is a shock. It reminds me of the days when the warrior sage and the Dragon King debuted. Zheng rubbed his forehead. His companions sighed with emotion. In the end, they gave Zheng a thumbs up, praising him for his good foresight. He had found Lu Cheng, the dark horse that couldn't be darker, and had always maintained his confidence and never wavered. Haha, Zheng, you bet again, right? How much did you win? Shouldn't you treat us to a meal? One of his companions joked. Zheng's face changed slightly and he smiled bitterly. I bet Yi Yaoting would win, ah? His companions looked at Zheng with a funny and surprised expression. Zheng sighed. I'm not a fortune teller. Before the match, who the hell would have thought that Lu Cheng would beat Yi Yaoting? He couldn't help but curse, venting the various emotions in his heart. Lu Qing had no idea what the audience outside was like. He was lying on the bed in the emergency room with a normal saline drip, waiting for the doctor to check whether his fever had subsided. He held the phone in his right hand and turned on the camera function. He took a picture of his left hand in the drip and then logged into QQ and sent it to Yenjika with a pitiful emoji. I haven't experienced it in 5 or 6 years. Lu Qing had been healthy since he was a child, especially after he started to develop. He only had a small cold and fever which could be cured quickly with some medicine. There was no need for injections or drips. He hadn't experienced the feeling of being pricked for many years. Yenjika replied with an emoji wiping cold sweat. I just had a drip last year, but it's much better than when I was a child. Before I started practicing martial arts, I had to go to the hospital every 2 or 3 weeks. It took me 3 years to get healthy. You haven't seen my pictures in junior high school and elementary school. I was so sick. Now I'm barely catching up to the standard of a normal person. I really want to see your junior high school and elementary school photos. You must be very, very cute. Lu Qing's dizziness didn't stop him from flirting with her again. TSK, you're still exaggerating when you're on an 4 drip. How do you feel now? Yenjika asked with concern. Lu Qing thought for a while and pressed the keyboard with one hand. My fever seems to have subsided a little. It's not that hot anymore. But my body is very weak and my head is very dizzy. Yenjika giggled. Hello, Lu Daiyu. After that, she asked with a bright eyes emoji, oh right, what happened when you were competing with Yi Yaoding? How could he erupt with such power? She seemed to have been holding back this question for a long time. After confirming that Lu Qing was getting better, she finally asked. Lu Qing had been thinking about how to explain this matter to Yenjika. At this time, he sent an emoji of shaking his head with a fist clenched and tears running down his face. I didn't want this to happen. It was all an accident. At that time, I just wanted to lose in a decent way, so I tried my best to hold on. I kept squeezing my body and held on for as long as I could. As you know, my physical strength is at an abnormal level. I have never reached my limit. But this time I finally reached my limit. Then, I felt like something inside my body had exploded. A terrible power broke out, forcing me to attack and defeat Yi Yaoding. When this power was released, I felt that my whole body was hollowed out. I almost fainted on the spot. You can see that at the end of the video my face should be very ugly or abnormally flushed. Most of what he said was true. He just replaced the Jindan with physical strength to cover it up. Yenjika sent an emoji of knocking on the head and scolding. You won't die if you don't ask for it. People develop their talents and supernatural abilities step by step, for fear of losing control. Just like Wang Xiaoshuang, the disciple with supernatural abilities in Daxing Temple, who burned down several houses because he lost control of his supernatural ability. That was why he was sent to Daxing Temple to meditate and control his mind. Why did you push your physical strength to the limit? Now you know the consequences, right? I know. Coach Yen is right. With this experience, I won't do it again. Lu Qing was full of warmth after being scolded, so he quickly agreed. It was really a happy thing to feel the concern of the girl he loved. And with this experience of almost dying, he really didn't dare to affect the Jindan like this again. He had to find a better and safer way to digest it. Yenjika sent an emoji of a cat holding a dried fish. It's good that you understand. I'll see if I can get some information from my grandpa on how to develop talents or supernatural abilities step by step. If it doesn't work, you can only turn to Coach Shi. He seems to have a strong background. He must know something. Coach Yen is so nice. Lu Qing replied with an emoji of an evil smile. He felt his eyelids were heavy and tiredness kept surging. He wanted to sleep like this, so he added, if I don't reply later, I must be too tired to sleep. Don't worry. I'm not worried. I was just scared by you. Yenjika used an emoji of a stunned dog to talk about her previous feelings. At first, when you were suppressed by Yi Yaoding, I thought it was quite normal. I was thinking about how to make fun of you while watching. But then you suddenly exploded. It was like completing the Super Saiyan transformation. I was so surprised that I couldn't blink for a long time. When I came back to myself, I began to feel that something was wrong. This is not a manga. How can such an explosion not cost anything? So I called you immediately. Lu Qing felt weak and tired, so his typing speed naturally slowed down. After reading this message, before he could type a few words, Yenjika continued with an emoji of a sighing onion. Poor Missy. She must have suffered a big blow. Who would have thought that she would lose? Even you. Life is full of surprises. I've completed a small miracle. The fund to treat you to a big meal is increased by 10,000 yuan. Thinking of the beautiful result, Lu Cheng's mood became better. Then I'll eat you out of money. Yanjika used a cute emoji of a bowl of noodles. I'll let you eat for a lifetime. Lu Cheng replied silently. By the way, Cheng, did you get a ticket? Yanjika changed the topic and mentioned the urgent matter related to Lu Cheng's return home. Lu Cheng suddenly woke up. Damn, I almost forgot about this. You don't have the energy to wait for a ticket in your current condition. Give me your ID number. I'll help you get it. Yanjika sent a praise me emoji. Lu Cheng was ecstatic and said hurriedly, Yanjika is so beautiful and kind. Give me your Alipay account number. I'll transfer the ticket money to you first. If it's not enough, I'll give you more. After chatting for a while, he fell asleep unconsciously. All kinds of strange and unusual scenes flashed in his dream, but they all passed quickly without leaving any trace. When Lu Cheng woke up, it was almost 5 o'clock. His head was still a little dizzy and his body was still weak, but his fever had almost subsided. His forehead and cheeks were no longer burning. This is the 10,000 yuan prize for the quarterfinals. The organizer sent it directly after knowing that you were here. The doctor handed over a stack of 100 yuan notes. Lu Cheng exhaled and scratched his head. I forgot about it. Sorry to trouble you. You're welcome. Your opponent in the quarterfinals is Bai Song. Do your best and create another miracle. The doctor clenched his fist and waved his arm. Lu Cheng was stunned. After taking a taxi back to the hotel, Lu Cheng had no appetite at all. After taking the medicine, he lay on the bed and chatted with Yanjika for a while. Then he fell asleep again. He slept until 7:30 the next morning, missing the morning exercise for the first time. His head was clear again, as if he had finally walked out of a serious illness. He first tried to meditate and check his body internally to see if there were any hidden problems. Then he logged on QQ and saw Yanjika's proud emoji pushing up her glasses. I got a ticket for you. It's 11:40. You should be in time for the match. But I don't think you can compete. You were so sick yesterday. Coach Yen is so straightforward. I guess I have to give up. Lu Cheng replied with a wronged emoji. Yanjika said in a daze, How's your body? My fever is completely gone. I also feel hungry, but my muscles are still very sore. I don't have much strength. I can barely carry my luggage and walk, let alone compete. Lu Cheng felt like he was suffering from a minor illness after a major illness was gone. Currently he was showing symptoms of a cold. Good. You predicted that you would lose yesterday. It's very decent that you can hold on until today. Yanjika comforted him. After chatting for a while, Lu Cheng got up and washed up. He saw his haggard face in the mirror. He looked at himself for a minute and suddenly raised his right hand. He rubbed his thumb and index finger and a small flame appeared. This was the result of his introspection. He found that the remaining heat of the Jindan flame seemed to have completely integrated into his body. Of course, the power was small and useless. This is nothing. Lu Cheng smiled and said to himself in the mirror, Congratulations, you've awakened the supernatural ability lighter. A supernatural ability that can only light a cigarette. He blew out the flickering flame with a puff of air. However, he could use it to surprise Yanjika with a magic show or something. Anyway, everyone was used to supernatural abilities. Yanjika had experienced what had happened to him yesterday, so she should be mentally prepared for the awakening of supernatural abilities. After packing his luggage, Lu Cheng put on his backpack and checked out at the front desk. He then took a taxi to Yenling Martial Arts Club. Is your supervisor here? He asked the girl at the reception desk, Ling Ning. Ling Ning was confused. Why do you want to see the supervisor? Her eyes were full of awe, not as lively and friendly as before. A martial artist who could defeat Yi Yaoting under the age of 20 always seemed so unreachable. Lu Cheng thanked her for her support and said with a smile, I used the secret method to stimulate my potential in yesterday's battle and got backfired. I couldn't take it anymore and had to give up. Oh, I see. Ling Ning's eyes were full of realization as if she had solved the biggest doubt in her heart. Then she led Lu Cheng to the supervisor. You want to give up? The supervisor seemed to have expected this and asked calmly. Lu Cheng repeated his explanation and said at the end, If I can fight, I'm willing to give it a try. The person in charge of the competition chuckled. Yesterday when I saw you in the emergency room, I already guessed that this would be the result. Of course, according to the procedure, I still have to find someone to check on you. I can't just believe whatever you say, right? He called 2 masters in the Danchi state, including Lu Zuinyu's head bodyguard, Old Sheng. They gave Lu Qing a rough check and confirmed his physical condition. Carrying his luggage, Lu Qing walked to the gate of the martial arts club. When he was about to step out, he suddenly had an inexplicable feeling. This gate was the gate to becoming a real martial artist. The first time he stepped in here and the one who was about to leave completely changed him. He looked back at the martial arts club again and again. In his mind flashed all the matches and cheers he had experienced, and the glorious road he had stepped on again and again. Yanling, one of the most important stations in life. The sentimental feeling lingered in his heart. Lu Qing was still immersed in it until he got into a taxi. "Hey, are you leaving now? Don't you want to watch the rest of the matches?" The taxi driver was a very talkative uncle. He asked casually. Lu Qing was a very polite person. Although he didn't want to chat, he still replied, "I have to go home. If I don't go back, I'll be scolded. It's been a few days." He swiped his thumb to unlock his phone and thought about what he should do next. Yan Zhika had to practice martial arts in the morning and couldn't chat. What a pity. The rest of the matches will be more exciting than the last. The middle-aged driver said excitedly, "Let me tell you something. There is a dark horse in this competition. He is very powerful. His name is Lu Qing. He even defeated Yi Yaoting from Iya Martial Arts Club. Maybe he can make another surprise today and defeat Bai Song. Let me tell you, I bet a lot of money on him. He's going to make a fortune." Lu Qing was dumbfounded and quietly released his fingers. He had just opened his contact list and was about to call Geezer. "Hey, what's wrong with you?" The driver uncle glanced at him. Lu Qing forced a smile and said, "I'm not feeling well. I'd better call him when I get to the train station." In a relatively clean bedroom, Yan Xiaoling woke up. Yesterday, she was dragged by her best friend to go shopping. When she came back, she was so tired that she didn't do what she had planned. Now it was time to start. She searched and found that the name Lu Qing was very rare. There was no personal post bar or forum. So she clicked to create a new forum where there were many forums such as Longhu Club. She chose the category, Martial Artist. Forum name, Lu Qing. Nature, Personal. A series of information appeared in front of Yan Xiaoling. She skimmed through it and smiled in a low voice, "Hey, I'll be the first fan." After that, she pressed the blue box. Start creating. Chapter 69. After a click, a blank forum appeared in front of Yan Xiaoling's eyes, except for the words Lu Qing in the upper left corner, Eternal Nightfall for the intern moderator, 1 for the number of followers, and so on. As the founder of the forum, her ID became an intern moderator. She would become an official moderator in a week if there were no major problems. Lu Qing's first home on the internet, "I'm going to start decorating it," Yan Xiaoling cheered in a low voice. She first used the picture of Lu Qing downloaded from the official website as the background image of the forum name. Then she posted several posts in one go. Reporting post, "I'm a fan of Lu Qing." Competition video post. Life photo post. She sorted them one by one and was about to insert the videos, photos, and related reports downloaded from the official website into the corresponding post. However, on second thought, she frowned and felt wronged. This isn't right. It's impossible for Lu Qing to not participate in other competitions in the future. It's too hard to find videos and photos in one post. After thinking about it, she reluctantly deleted the previous post and reposted it. She was quite serious and responsible. First Phoenix Cup Warrior Sage Candidate Challenge Tournament video post. First Phoenix Cup Warrior Sage Candidate Challenge Tournament photo post. First Phoenix Cup Warrior Sage Candidate Challenge Tournament related news post. Lu Qing's daily life in January. She sent the content she had collected from the official website to the corresponding posts. After adding highlights to each post, she saved them in the cloud drive. Satisfied, she picked up the soy milk beside her and took a sip. Then she clicked into the reporting post to reply, "I'm Lu Qing's first fan," and finish all her work for the day. At this moment, Yan Xiaoling saw something that didn't belong to her appear on the second page of the reporting post. "I'm Lu Qing's first fan." Oh! Yan Xiaoling felt like a thief had broken into her house. She opened her eyes wide and found that the owner was a person named Brahman. "This is the forum I created," she replied bitterly. She hated that she had to drink the soy milk before continuing. Now someone else had taken the lead. Brahman did not reply. It was as if she had left quietly after snatching the first place. Yan Xiaoling was wondering if she should use her power to delete the post on the second floor and pretend that she was still the first fan. Her hand slipped and she returned to the forum's homepage. But this time she was so angry that her lungs almost exploded because there were a few more topic posts on the front page. That guy named Brahmin was actually flooding the front page to question her. Why are you stealing my new idol's forum? The one called Eternal Nightfall, come out and take responsibility for your own actions. I should be the one to build it. I feel wronged, I feel sad, I feel bitter. Yan Xiaoling muttered a few words to calm herself down so that her temper wouldn't explode. Then she replied in the form of a thread, first come, first served. My Lu Qing is the winner of the Warrior Sage Challenge tournament. Who's the new idol you're talking about? It's also Lu Qing in the Warrior Sage Challenge tournament. But I made him my new idol in the third round of the tournament, so it's definitely earlier than you. Brahmin didn't back down and started arguing about who was Lu Qing's #1 fan. Yan Xiaoling suddenly laughed. Her anger was all gone. She replied proudly, so what? Anyway, I built the forum. Why didn't you do it earlier? There was no new post for a whole minute. Yan Xiaoling thought that she had finally completed the training of her poisonous tongue and made the other party run away with one sentence. She was about to praise herself when she saw Brahmin's post again. So what if you built the forum? Do you have this picture? Picture? What picture? Yan Xiaoling clicked in and saw a screenshot of a video with two guys laughing foolishly. One of them. Hey, isn't that Lu Qing? Why do you have this picture of him? Yan Xiaoling asked with a shocked expression. Brahmin smiled proudly. Don't you know? This is the picture of Lu Qing's dark history that only senior fans can find. Yan Xiaoling searched for the picture for a while but did not find the source. She was very curious and had to act like a lackey. She asked Brahmin in a low voice, well, you're indeed more senior than me. I won't delete your second post. Can you tell me where this picture came from? You want me to tell you just like that? I need to think about whether you should call me senior or master. Brahmin put on airs. Yan Xiaoling replied without hesitation, Dad. Brahmin was stunned for a while and said, where's your dignity? Where's your moral integrity? Dad, I don't have these two things. Just tell me. Yan Xiaoling felt that she was a girl who was not pretentious at all. Brahmin wiped the cold sweat. Okay, I'll send you the link. When you become the official moderator, let me be the deputy moderator. Roar. Yan Xiaoling clicked to watch the video. After the beginning, she hurried back to share her feelings with Brahmin. I didn't expect Lu Qing to be so silly. Well, I feel that this silly Lu Qing must be a very warm and considerate boy. I think so too. And he's very mysterious and cool. Brahmin agreed. Well, Lu Qing withdrew from the competition. I saw the news of his withdrawal and thought that there would be no news of him before next year's university martial arts competition. So I thought to set up a forum as a memorial. I didn't expect you to be faster than me, Yan Xiaoling replied with an emoji of spinning in circles. When I was collecting information, I saw it on the official website. He fought so hard yesterday. He must be exhausted. The two girls started to talk about Lu Qing. The more they talked, the more congenial they became. In the end, Yan Xiaoling asked, do you think Lu Qing will find this forum? Secretly browsing here? I don't think so. Who would search for their own name except for those who just went online? By the time he thinks he may have a private forum, he should have become a famous fighter. Brahmin tried to sound like an elder sister. She always felt that Eternal Nightfall was younger than her. Yan Xiaoling closed her eyes and replied dreamily, by the time he discovers this place, the forum will have a lot of fans. I've also silently built many posts for him and collected a lot of information to make this place more and more like his home on the internet. Thinking about it, it's a very warm and touching thing. When he sees the time of our first post, he will be surprised to find that there are two people who have supported him silently for so many years, from the beginning until he became famous. Brahmin also echoed in a romantic tone unique to girls. A small forum, a small girl, a small warmth. Outside the train station, Lu Qing wiped his cold sweat and quickly left the taxi to the entrance of the security check. Uncle, I don't want to let you make no money. After passing through the security check, he found a relatively quiet corner. He pulled up his contact list and called his master. It's time to tell him the good news. Although his master's foresight was definitely better than his, and he could see his potential and predict that he might be able to pass the early elimination round and enter the group stage, whether it was defeating Zhou Yuaning or defeating Yi Yaoting with the help of the Jin Dan, they were both achievements that even he himself couldn't believe. Therefore, the top 8 was enough to surprise him. Lu Qing couldn't help showing off a little when the phone rang, looking forward to his master's reaction. On the balcony bathed in the golden sunlight, Geezer Sure narrowed his eyes and drank a little wine, enjoying the rare warmth and brilliance in winter. Buzz buzz buzz. The phone beside him vibrated. Without turning his head or looking, he said, "You finally got the courage, you little brat." The phone on the table disappeared and suddenly appeared in his hand. "Brat, you just called me today?" Geezer sure chose to answer and said with a smile. Lu Qing laughed, "How dare I call you if I don't get a good ranking? That's right, no matter what, we have to wait until the rankings are settled before we fight. Didn't dare to call because I didn't get a good ranking? How many days did I wait before I got the courage?" Geezer sure nodded slightly and said jokingly, "Now you know how many martial artists there are in the world? Do you know that there are countless martial artists at the same level as you? Tell me the truth, which round are you in?" After that, he took a sip of wine. "Why does my master's words sound weird?" Lu Qing didn't have time to think about it and said proudly, "8th place." The contestant who gave up was ranked last among all the martial artists in the round. The wine in Geezer Sher's mouth flew out and turned into snowflakes. "What did you say? 8th place?" His hoarse voice raised a lot. Lu Qing took the phone away from his ear and felt his master's surprise. He answered with a smile, "Yeah, I tried my best and finally got into the top 8. But I also gave up because I overworked my body." I smiled proudly. "This is not a surprise, this is a shock." Geezer sure wanted to get to the bottom of it, but on second thought, he couldn't ask directly in order to maintain his master's image and dignity in front of Lu Qing. He had to ask someone else. He coughed and said, "You did well. Keep it up. I know you have a lot of questions to ask, but I happen to have something to do. I'll get back to you when I'm done." "Okay, master." Lu Qing was so proud that his voice became lighter. In a secluded office in the martial arts stadium of Yanling, the bodyguard Old Sheng looked at the chairman Lu Zuanyu behind the desk and asked in confusion, "You let Lu Qing go just like that?" He was an upset in the last round and forfeited this round. No matter what the truth is, it has created a gambling problem. At the very least, we should do a comprehensive examination. Moreover, he has great potential. Why not take this opportunity to recruit him? Lu Zuanyu crossed his fingers and smiled. "Do you know who got the invitation for him?" Old Sheng was stunned. At this moment, Lu Zuanyu's personal phone buzzed. He glanced at it and hurriedly picked it up, motioning Old Sheng to go out first. "Hello, Senior Shi. Why did you call me personally? If you need anything, you can just ask me." Lu Zuanyu's tone was quite respectful. Geezer Shi chuckled. "My good-for-nothing disciple participated in your challenge tournament. As a master, I have to show some concern. I was busy before, but now that I have the time, tell me about his performance." "Your disciple is really a dragon among men. His potential is limitless." Lu Zuanyu praised first. He defeated a full-arm boxing master of amateur 4th pin in the first round, a strong opponent of amateur 1st pin in the 3rd round. We arranged a walkover for him in the 5th round. In the last round of the group, he defeated a fighter of professional 9th pin. In the last round, he defeated a fighter of professional 9th pin. In the last round, he must have used your explosive secret skill, so he overdrew his body and had to give up in the quarterfinals. Geezer Shi was silent for a while and said, "Why did you arrange a walkover for him?" "He is your disciple. We have to give him some face and take care of him." Lu Zuanyu answered with a smile. Geezer Shi's tone became serious. "You should ask your elders. I used to be impartial and righteous. How could I do this kind of thing? If you want to give me face, you shouldn't have arranged a walkover for him. You should have arranged a fighter of professional 9th pin for him." Flattery went too far. Lu Zuanyu was not too afraid of Geezer Shi. After all, they were not from the same sect. He just wanted to make a good relationship with him. Therefore, the smooth and slick Geezer Shi immediately apologized. His sincerity moved people who heard it. "Forget it. It's already over. You can send a copy of his competition video to my email." Geezer Shi's tone softened. "Damn it, I've shot myself in the foot. How can I use my experience to teach that bastard a lesson?" Chapter 70. While waiting for Geezer Shi's call, Lu Qing regained his appetite and found a fast food restaurant in the train station. He planned to show off in front of Kai Zongming, but Kai Zongming was not on QQ. He guessed that he was out with his girlfriend. He had to check the forum and found that in yesterday's discussion, the netizens were shocked by his victory over Yi Yaoting. Unparalleled Dragon King, who was known as the Human Database, said in a dreamy tone, "I must find someone from Songqing University to ask about him. I don't believe that such a powerful person jumped out from a crack in a rock." Pig Riding Night, an experienced and knowledgeable moderator, also said with emotion, if Lu Cheng was mysterious and strong at the beginning and played every match with ease, then his sudden burst of strength to defeat Yi Yaoting is not too surprising. At his age, Peng Liyun is already an 8th pin fighter. But in the few matches we watched, except for the match with Tang Yu, he gave people the feeling that he barely won the match with his full strength. Sometimes he almost lost. How could he have the strength to defeat Yi Yaoting? This is not the Super Saiyan transformation. He must be on drugs. That's boring. Although the rules allow it, what people want to see is the limit of the human body. Outspoken, who always disliked Lu Cheng, said firmly. Wonton Seller said in a weak voice, maybe it's the secret method to stimulate the potential. All the big inheritances don't lack such things. That's possible. But is it worth it for the 10,000 yuan prize? The repercussions of stimulating the potential are very serious. How can 10,000 yuan make up for it? A plumber eating mushrooms said with a thoughtful expression. My idol is young and impetuous. Can't he lose control of his emotions and choose to stimulate the potential? Brahman jumped out to defend Lu Cheng. Unparalleled Dragon King seemed to have recovered. That makes sense. It should be Yi Yaoting's crushing defeat that irritated Lu Cheng and made him use the forbidden move regardless of the consequences. He was only one step away from becoming a real professional 9th pin fighter. Now it's hard to say. Let's see if he can make up for it. Why bother? Then he will definitely withdraw from the competition tomorrow. Beautiful World said in a very happy tone. We can ask Little Fist to inform Master Road. Yi Yaoting has been defeated. It's not shameful for him to lose to Lu Cheng. It's better for him to come back quickly. Road to the arena quietly appeared. Actually, I've been lurking in the shadows. Damn it, I was scared to death by Lu Cheng defeating Yi Yaoting. I thought I was hallucinating after drinking with Little Fist all night. Ha, Master Road, with Yi Yaoting in front of you, no one will care that you lost to Lu Cheng. Welcome back. One by one, the forum members made similar gestures. Since there were no more forum members participating in the competition, not many people were paying attention to this matter. Today, when the officials announced that Lu Cheng had to withdraw from the competition due to the discomfort caused by the use of the secret method, the remaining few people felt sorry for him, gloated over his misfortune, and believed that Lu Cheng could create another miracle and recover quickly. However, none of this could save the live broadcast post from its fate. It soon fell into silence and sank into the depths of the forum. After thinking for a while, Lu Cheng copied the address of the post and saved it. This could be considered as another testimony to his first martial arts tournament. The top 8 out of the 8 or 900 people were truly 1 in 100. In the martial arts stadium of Yanling City, Yi Yaoting sat beside Jiang Lan, watching the fierce battle between Li Xiaoyuan and Wang Yi. Her face was still pale but without the palpitating blue color. Are you okay? Jiang Lan drank a nutrient drink and asked. She had just entered the top 4. Yi Yaoting bared her teeth. My body is still a little weak but I'm fine. I've thought it through. The world is big and there are all kinds of strange things. There will always be all kinds of enemies. Who knows when an enemy will explode? Speaking of this, she paused, took a breath and said, but I'm still a little unreconciled. After all, it's hard to be reconciled. He looked so easy to defeat. How did he suddenly become a horrible monster? One day I'll get my face back. Jiang Lan thought for a while and said seriously, then you have to work harder. It only took Lu Cheng a few days to go from being a greenhorn at the beginning of the competition to being a mature and astute fighter. Plus, with his talent, as long as there aren't too many sequelae from yesterday's mutation, it shouldn't be a problem for him to reach the professional 9th pin at the end of the year. After seeing the frost on Yi Yaoting's arm, she was sure that Lu Cheng didn't use the secret method to stimulate his potential. Instead, his body had mutated, and it was very likely that he had awakened his supernatural ability. Phew. Yi Yaoting exhaled. In fact, I could have avoided it yesterday. After I suppressed him, if I didn't consider anything else, I would have directly used the flood stance. With the maximum eruption, I could have finished the battle in a few moves. There was no time for him to mutate. I'm still too fond of showing off. You're 19 years old now but you're still childish. Jiang Lan laughed and scolded her. Yi Yaoting turned her head and looked at Jiang Lan. Her eyes were full of excitement. Sister Lan, didn't you ask me to redouble my efforts? I want to form a team and start from the preliminaries. Let's see how far we can go. This way, we can maximize the actual combat experience and digest the cultivation methods. In the future, we may even become the biggest martial arts organization in Yanling. Do you want to join? The professional martial arts circle was divided into 4 levels. The top level was composed of 12 big forces, including Shangqing Sect, Daxing Temple and Longhu Club. Every year, the last one would be relegated to the next level, which indicated that they were in a weak state and had to share some of the benefits. The second stage was called the advancement competition. Similarly, there were 12 forces who could be considered as vassals of a region. This level of competition had the participation of the upper 3 ranks, and the main focus was danchi. Every year, the first place would enter the highest stage. If they could maintain their position for a year without being sent back, it meant that they were strong enough to share some benefits. Similarly, the last 2 places would drop to the third stage. The third level was called the preliminary competition. There were 12 forces in the North and South Division, and the last 2 would be relegated to the 4th level. The 4th level was called the preliminary competition. Before the competition schedule was decided every year, all you had to do was organize a team and sign up. The division would be based on the number of participants. It was the beginner circle of professional martial arts. If Yi Yaoting and Jiang Lan joined, they could really go far in the preliminary competition. In that case, they would not only get a share of the income, but also a unique skill reward provided by the state. There were similar things in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th levels so that they could really grow step by step and balance the old forces. Participate in the preliminary competition? Jiang Lan was stunned at first, but then a smile appeared on her face. Sounds interesting. I'll try it for a year. Yi Yaoting shook her fist and said happily, with you in our team we can really grow stronger step by step. Maybe we can surpass my dad's martial arts club in the future. What should we call it? Well, I'll find a few more female fighters to join. We'll call it the Pretty Girls Squad. I'd better not join. Jiang Lan looked at her with disdain. Haha, just kidding, just kidding. Yi Yaoting laughed dryly. When the train was about to check in, Lu Qing finally got a call from Geezer. I've watched your competition video. Not bad. You've mastered 24 blizzard strikes. You've also turned your talent in meditation, yin-yang stance, and condensation stance into listening skill and mercurial balance. You've achieved the main purpose of letting you join the challenge competition. Geezer said in a hoarse voice. God pity me. This is not the line I prepared at the beginning. Lu Qing was proud and happy. He replied with a smile, Master, thank you for giving me the opportunity. Otherwise, I don't know when I could reach this level. Not giving you the opportunity? Geezer took a deep breath and said, your mastery of 24 blizzard strikes is good, but it also reveals many problems. Your foundation is too weak and your fighting style is too monotonous. After all, 24 blizzard strikes is not an all-encompassing and profound martial art. It has its own limitations and is not enough to deal with all situations. When you come back from school, I'll teach you a new fighting style. During this time, you should practice the big and small hand wrap to enrich your close combat options. I'll compile the videos and materials and send them to your email. I don't ask for profound knowledge, but I hope you can use it once or twice at critical moments. It's good enough to complement your listening skill. A new martial art at the beginning of school. Lu Qing was very happy. He hurriedly said, Okay. Geezer was quite depressed. He went straight to the point. When you fought Yi Yaoting, others couldn't see it, but I saw it clearly. There was ice force. Did you awaken a supernatural ability related to frost? Well, although you may not believe it, I've awakened a supernatural ability related to fire. Lu Qing answered honestly. You can't blame me? I also don't think it's a big deal. There was silence on the other side of the phone. He couldn't hear Geezer's breathing at all. After almost a minute, Geezer coughed twice and said tiredly, Then we'll talk about it when you come back from school. Ice force? Awakening a supernatural ability related to fire? Are you kidding me? After hanging up the phone, Lu Qing was in a good mood. His weak body and half-blocked nose seemed to have relieved a lot of his flu symptoms. He followed the line, passed the ticket gate, boarded the train and found his seat. He was thinking about his supernatural ability. The supernatural ability of fire was purely a change caused by the backlash. When he squeezed the Jindan and used ice force, it caused an imbalance between the ice and fire in the Jindan and leaked some of the fire force. After a while, the remaining fire force merged with the cells and slightly changed his body. The ice force turned into a real mega avalanche and hurt the opponent. Most of the ice force evaporated in the room temperature and didn't affect Yi Yaoting much. Now the Jindan was still there and could still replenish his strength. After putting down his luggage, he sat down and looked at the passengers outside who were constantly looking for a carriage. Suddenly he had a real feeling that he was going home. When he left Songqing University and stayed in the hotel in Yanling, he had been so focused on Yanzhika and the challenge tournament that he didn't have the urge to go home. But at this moment, sitting on the train on the way back, surrounded by other travelers like him, this kind of emotion suddenly burst out. Yes, after all, he was still an 18-year-old young man who had been away from his parents for half a year. Yes, he was born and raised in Xioshan and had spent 18 years there. Most of his relatives and friends and most of his memories and experiences were there. How could he not miss home? How could he not miss home? What a wanderer in a foreign land yearned for was the warmth of home. He took out his phone, logged on QQ and sent a message to Yanzhika, who should still be practicing martial arts. Going home. Chapter 71. The sky was gloomy and the wind was chilly. Filled with excitement and joy, Lu Qing couldn't help but shiver as soon as he walked out of the train station. Unlike the strong wind, low temperature and dry cold in Yanling, the cold in Xioshan was the kind that chilled him to the bone. It was a kind of inescapable cold that couldn't be resisted by the so-called airtight clothes. Besides, he was in a weak and sick state. Luckily I was smart enough to put on a coat before I got off the bus. Lu Qing praised and took out his phone. He took a picture of the familiar sky of Xioshan and the landmark building in the distance, and sent it to Yanzhika with a smirk. Does it look familiar? Yanzhika replied with a dazed emoji. I suddenly miss home. Just think of me as your substitute to go home and experience Xioshan for you. Lu Qing replied with a proud smile. Bah, what are you talking about? Substitute Qing, are you prettier than me? Yanzhika replied with a you know nothing about strength emoji. While chatting, Lu Qing carried his luggage and declined a bunch of offers to take a taxi. He arrived at the bus stop and waited for the bus that would pass by his house on Route 82. Although he had 10,000 yuan in his backpack and a few hundred in his wallet, he had to be thrifty. Originally, he only had 5,000 yuan as a reward, so he planned to use the rest of it as a dating fund. But now that he had the 10,000 yuan reward for the top 8, he had a little idea. He planned to buy something for his parents during the new year. It would be the first real gift to surprise them. Bus 82 was crowded. Lu Qing controlled his center of gravity well with his yin-yang stance. He sat down and looked around to see if he could meet one or two classmates. Unfortunately, Xioshan was a prefecture-level city. The population of the main city alone was in the hundreds of thousands. The number of classmates he knew, starting from kindergarten, was no more than 300. Compared to the former, Xioshan was like a drop in the ocean. How could it be so easy to meet them? Unless he specifically went to certain places where certain people were bound to appear. The bus swayed and stopped. It drove to the non-commercial area of the old city. The surrounding buildings began to become shorter and less colorful. Lu Qing got off at a stop sign at the entrance of a community. This was the place where he had lived for almost 10 years. Many of the outer walls of the buildings had been modeled, leaving traces of the merciless passage of time. This was the last glory of the company that his father first worked for. When it went bankrupt, he squeezed out the last of his family's savings and borrowed a lot of debt to buy the property rights. Most of the people living in the neighborhood were his father's former colleagues or co-workers. They had a good relationship with each other. Along the way, Lu Qing frequently greeted them. This uncle had watched him grow up, and this auntie had helped him change his diapers. Before he stepped into the house, he could already feel the smell of home. Of course, this kind of neighborhood atmosphere was also a little bad. The 7 aunts and 8 aunts loved to gather together when they had nothing to do. If something happened to one family, the news would spread throughout the neighborhood. When he was about to reach building number 8, Lu Qing saw a young man walking out from the entrance of the unit. He smiled and greeted him, Brother Su. This young man was called Wang Su. He was Lu Qing's kindergarten, elementary school and junior high school classmate. In the normal sense, they were childhood friends. Their fathers used to work in the same technical department. They liked to play chess and brag together. Lu Qing had a good relationship with him. However, during the years when the company was about to go bankrupt, everyone was in a panic. Everyone had a hard time. In a family, one had to leave home to work, while the other stayed at home to take care of the child. Conflicts broke out from time to time. This atmosphere also affected the children. Some began to lose interest in learning and wanted to earn money as soon as possible. Some followed the young workers in the factory and now the hooligans in the underworld. Gradually they formed some gangs. Wang Su was tall and sturdy. He was a martial artist since childhood. Influenced by this atmosphere, he slowly went astray. In junior high school, he tried to please the PE teacher in order to learn martial arts. At the same time, he followed the hooligans to collect protection fees and participate in school gang fights. At that time he was relatively simple. He would show off to Lu Qing who he had beaten today and who he was going to fight tomorrow. With Lu Qing's insight, he found that Wang Su was indeed talented. At the age of 14 or 15 he was already an amateur ninth pin fighter. Because of this childhood friend, Lu Qing was able to concentrate on his studies in junior high school, where the overall learning atmosphere was very bad. He was not disturbed by the outside world and bullied by the hooligans. He was admitted to Xiushan No. 1 Middle School and completely got rid of this environment. From then on, he and Wang Su became strangers. He no longer knew anything about Wang Su. He only knew that Wang Su did not study in high school from time to time. He found that Wang Su seemed to be doing better and better, but there were more shallow scars on his face. The scar on Wang Su's left cheek was still faintly visible. He had neat short hair, wore an expensive long black leather coat, and wore a thick long gold chain that gave him the temperament of a nouveau riche. His features were no longer tender, and he no longer had the youthful look of an 18 or 19-year-old youth. Hey, the college student is back. He was quite happy to see Lu Qing. He took out a pack of cigarettes with English letters written on it from his pocket. Come have a smoke. Good stuff. It was in such an atmosphere that I learned to smoke and drink. Lu Qing thought and waved his hand. I quit smoking now. Wang Su's face showed a trace of unhappiness, and his attitude became more indifferent. He lit a cigarette for himself and said, It's different to study in college. To be honest, Lu Qing used to be a good friend with him, but he was still a little afraid of him. But now, after the experience in the Warrior Sage Challenge tournament, he was no longer afraid of Wang Su. He looked straight into Wang Su's eyes and smiled gently. I've quit smoking and drinking, but I haven't quit eating skewers and hot pot. Let's go for supper when you're free? Seeing that Lu Qing didn't deliberately alienate him but was instead calm and generous, Wang Su's displeasure dissipated. Returning to his usual self, he chuckled and said, Sure, let's go have skewers when I'm free. Qing, why don't you quit smoking and drinking? What's the point of living then? Lu Qing replied with a smile, I joined the martial arts club in college to strengthen my body. You know, practicing martial arts requires abstaining from smoking and drinking. Hearing this, Wang Su laughed loudly. You want to practice martial arts? When I'm free I'll teach you a few moves. I guarantee that your martial arts will improve greatly during the winter break. I don't believe you can make me a professional ninth pin fighter? Maybe you can't even beat me. Lu Qing complained silently. He pointed upstairs and said, I'm going home to see my parents first. Talk to you later. Okay, I'll bring a bottle of wine to your house. I haven't played chess with Uncle Lu for a long time. Wang Su and Lu Qing lived in the same building in the same unit, but one was on the second floor and the other was on the fifth. After Wang Su graduated from junior high school, it was normal for him to be away from home for a week. Lu Qing said, You haven't forgotten your chess skills? I've abandoned it long ago. Both of their fathers loved to play chess. Both of them were influenced since young and had inherited the skills from their families. Wang Su smiled first and then sighed. You know my dad. He's as stubborn as a donkey. He can't stand me being in the underworld. But once you're in the underworld, you can't help yourself. Sigh, only when we're playing chess does he give me some face and say a few words. He was speaking like an old man. After the small talk, Lu Qing walked through the door of the unit and walked up the familiar stairs to his house on the fifth floor. This community was built 10 years ago, before elevators and apartments were popular in Xiushan. Therefore, the highest building here was only 6 floors. Seeing the gray-blue security door, Lu Qing smiled and took out the key. It was 5 o'clock. His mom must be at home preparing dinner. He didn't tell his mom in advance that he was going home today because he wanted to give them a surprise. Dang 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 dang. Lu Qing turned the key and opened the door with the background music in his heart. He shouted, Mom, I'm home. His voice echoed and the room was silent. Lu Qing was stunned. He put on his slippers and walked to the kitchen. There was no trace of cooking. Damn, where is she? Lu Qing took out his phone and dialed his mom's number. Where's the surprise? The phone was connected. Lu Qing's mom's familiar voice came through. Qing, when are you coming home? The other kids are all on vacation. Mom, I'm at home now. Where are you? Lu Qing asked in a daze. Why didn't you say you were coming home? Lu Qing's mom raised her voice. Lu Qing's mouth twitched. I wanted to give you a surprise. Surprise your ass. It's more like a shock. One of my relatives is getting married. Your dad and I are at Ningxue for the wedding. We won't be back tonight. You can handle it yourself. Lu Cheng's mom scolded him. Ningxue was a county under Xioshan. Is this the kind of treatment I get when I come home from so far away? Lu Cheng didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Lu Cheng's mom laughed. You didn't tell me in advance. If you didn't, I would have let your dad come by himself. Are you surprised? Yes. Lu Cheng was speechless. After hanging up the phone, he looked around at the deserted surroundings. He could only sigh. As expected of his biological son, he still had to find his own food. Back in his room full of posters of Dragon King and other martial artists, Lu Cheng put down his luggage and took out his phone. He sent a message to Yanjika. No one is here to receive me. No food. Everyone is at the wedding. Yanjika quickly replied with a photo. It was a picture of a round table with a turntable. There were dozens of dishes on it. My dinner tonight is for you to satisfy your cravings. You're welcome. Look at my eyes. Lu Cheng sent a sad emoji. The left-behind child was abandoned. While chatting with Yanjika, he began to think about dinner. He planned to gather his friends for dinner. After all, he had money. He first left a message to Kai Zongming. Talker, I have a secret for you. I got the secret of the top 8 in the Warrior Sage Challenge tournament. Now I can crush your secret. Then he looked for Jiang Fei on QQ. Fatty Jiang, are you free? I'm going back to Xioshan. Let's have dinner together. If Fatty Jiang was not free, he would look for him one by one. Oh, you're finally back. I thought you were having a good time. Where are you going? Jiang Fei didn't hesitate. This is called friendship. Lu Cheng thought for a while. Old Lu barbecue. He could send a photo to Yanjika and let her eat it. Chapter 72. Okay, wait for me. I'll pick you up. Jiang Fei replied with a big laugh. Lu Cheng was stunned. Pick me up. Hey, you'll know later. You can ask old Cheng if he wants to come with you. Fatty Jiang mentioned Cheng Chili, another best friend. Lu Cheng replied with a scornful emoji. I'll ask even if you don't tell me. I'll beat him up. After that, he clicked on Cheng Chili's QQ, whose nickname was, I love advanced mathematics. Old Cheng, are you there? I'm back. After waiting for a few minutes, Lu Cheng got no response, so he simply dialed Cheng Chili's mobile number. Cheng Chili's mobile number was set up in another place. Lu Cheng didn't know if he had changed his number at home. After the divine melody ringtone, a familiar but hoarse voice came from the other end of the phone. Cheng. Old Cheng, what's wrong? You don't sound well. Lu Cheng asked with concern. Cheng Chili laughed. It's nothing serious. My relatives came to my house today. They said I'm an adult in college and can drink. They forced me to drink a few glasses and made me feel dizzy. I slept the whole afternoon. If it wasn't for your call, I wouldn't know when I would wake up. Hey Cheng, your voice doesn't sound right. It's a bit nasal. You caught a cold? Yeah, but I'll get better soon. I'm going back to Xioshan. I'm going to ask Fatty Jiang out for barbecue. Are you free? Lu Cheng didn't need to be polite in front of Cheng Chili. He asked directly. Cheng Chili sighed. I can't. It's a family gathering. I'm so busy during the spring festival. I'll find you tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. Okay, we'll talk about it then. Lu Cheng hung up the phone and replied to Yanjika's message. He quickly packed his luggage, put the unwashed clothes in 2 basins, and put his laptop on the desk in his room. At this time, the sky was gloomy and there were signs of night falling before 6 o'clock. The lights in the room created a warm and bright environment. Lu Cheng looked around and felt a little strange to this place where he had slept for almost 10 years. On his left was a bed that was 1.5 meters wide and had been replaced with a brand new 4-piece set. His mother had probably done this in advance, saving him a lot of time. On his right were a bookcase and a wardrobe. The former was filled with all kinds of martial arts magazines, novels, and comics, as well as the 12 sections of Shu Mountain and Tai Chi pole exercise that he had bought when he was young and naive. He had fantasized about becoming a master by himself and shocking the entire school. Unfortunately, these things were not real, but there was no one to guide him and he did not have the time to persevere. In the end, it was useless. Between the bed and the bookcase was a desk with a lamp, a wall calendar, a pen holder, a piggy bank, and so on. The drawers on both sides were locked with photos of Yanjika from elementary school, middle school, and high school. He had once regretted that there were too many classes in high school and that there was no group photo of Yanjika. But now it didn't matter anymore. Just as he finished cleaning up and dispelled the slight unfamiliarity, Jiang Fei sent a message on QQ. Cheng, come down. I'm at the entrance of your neighborhood. Okay. Lu Qing took his wallet and thought for a while. Then he took out 7 or 8 notes from the 10,000 yuan hidden in the depths of the drawer. He rushed out of the door excitedly and came to the entrance of the neighborhood. He looked left and right looking for Fatty Jiang. But there was no familiar guy in the cold wind whistling on the road. Beep, beep. A car horn suddenly sounded. Lu Qing subconsciously looked over and saw a white Ford car parked at the entrance of the neighborhood rolling down the window. Qing. Jiang Fei's slightly proud deep voice came from the car. Lu Qing let out a hey and walked over. He opened the door of the passenger seat and said, "Not bad. You can drive now." Only then did he recognize that it was Fatty Jiang's father's car. It wasn't expensive, but it wasn't cheap either. It was just like his family's financial situation. Jiang Fei was wearing a dark blue down jacket with his chest open, revealing the black turtleneck sweater inside. His round face was fatter than when they last met at the end of August. He had 3 chins and a bulging belly, as if he had been pregnant for 5 or 6 months. He smiled and said, "Although I didn't find a girlfriend this semester, I got my driver's license. Our school can use it as credit for an elective course. TSK, you can't judge a book by its cover. I thought you would stay in the dormitory and play games for a semester." Lu Qing sat down, closed the door and fastened the seat belt. Compared to the cold outside, the inside was like heaven. Jiang Fei put down the handbrake and pushed the gear lever. He said with a smile, "Driving is a basic skill now. It takes too much time to take the test after college. You should take it when you have time." If I have time. Lu Qing thought of his daily training. He took out his phone and sent a sneering emoji to Yanjika. "I'm going out. Going to Old Lu barbecue with Fatty Jiang from our class." Yanjika replied with, "I'll kill you with my eyes. You're getting bolder and bolder. How dare you provoke me? Didn't you say I won't forget your kindness?" "I'm wrong, Coach Yan. See me admit my mistake." Lu Qing replied with a big smile. Jiang Fei glanced at him and looked ahead. He smiled while driving. "Qing, who are you chatting with? Why are you smiling so obscenely? Your girlfriend? You didn't mention it before." "I'm almost there. I'm still working on it." Lu Qing didn't hide it. Jiang Fei said, "Not bad. I didn't expect you to take the initiative to pursue someone. You're really a man on the outside. Maybe you're the first one to find a girlfriend." "Is that girl a classmate of Songqing University?" "Yes." Lu Qing nodded. "Not only a classmate of Songqing University but also a classmate of high school?" "Ah, Songqing University is really balanced between men and women, unlike us. By the way, Qing, do you know Yanjika got into Songqing University?" Jiang Fei suddenly asked. Lu Qing was stunned. "Yes, I've seen her." Not only had he seen her, but he saw her every day. Jiang Fei looked ahead and turned the steering wheel. "I despise you. You've seen her, but you didn't mention it to me." He didn't wait for Lu Qing to answer. He suddenly sighed. "Do you remember the first year of high school when the military training ended? A lot of boys were saying that there was a super beauty in class 3, even prettier than a star. We took a detour to the toilet of class 3 just to take a look. After that, we often talked about it in private. Every time we did martial arts exercises, we would line up near class 3 and pretend to pass by class 3's door from time to time. At that time, I didn't think about pursuing her. I always thought it was a good thing to look at her. This is probably my best memory of girls in high school." Lu Qing also felt sentimental when he heard that. It was a pure and innocent love. At that time, a lot of people pretended to pass by and often bumped into guys they knew. The boys of class 3 were brazenly making fun of them. He recalled. At the same time, he kept typing and sent a message to Yanjika. "I'm reminiscing about high school with Fatty Jiang. Do you remember that people often passed by and peeped at you in the first semester of high school?" Jiang Fei sighed and shook his head. "Now that I think about it, it's quite silly. I don't know if Yanjika found out at that time. What did she think of us?" Beep. Yanjika replied with a messy emoji. "I remember. I felt like a panda in a zoo being visited one by one. I had to lie on my stomach and pretend to sleep. Hey, did you also pass by?" "I think she can't remember passers-by like us." Lu Qing shattered Fatty Jiang's fantasy with a description that matched the facts. He then replied to Yanjika with a smile. "Yes, I pretended to pass by several times. Unfortunately, I was just a passerby at that time. You probably don't remember." This could be considered as another ambiguous sentence. Yanjika sent a smirk and didn't say more. At this time, they had arrived at the Old Lu barbecue, which was not too far away. Jiang Fei stopped the car a little awkwardly. After a while, he was sweating profusely and finally finished. He turned off the engine and locked the car. Yeah, why would she remember passers-by like us in Songbingi? Not only is she prettier than the stars, but she's also super good at studying. I heard that she has a good personality too. If all her suitors spit at us, they might drown us in their saliva. But a person like her must have high standards. There hasn't been any rumors about her. She should be the type who focuses on her studies. Hey, why do you think she applied for Songqing University? Wouldn't it be better to go to Beijing or Huahai? Lu Qing thought seriously and answered, maybe it's because of family reasons. Ah, don't make wild guesses. It's definitely not reliable. Wait for me to ask Du Liu. Song Li and Yan Zhika are pretty close. Jiang Fei laughed. Nowadays no one believes the truth. Lu Qing looked at the sky speechlessly and felt an inexplicable sense of satisfaction. While talking, they walked into the old Lu barbecue. The shop had just opened and only served the night market. 20 skewers of 5 flour, 20 skewers of beef, 20 skewers of pork ribs, 20 skewers of palm treasures, 20 skewers of mutton, 20 skewers of chicken tips, 10 skewers of chicken wings, 10 skewers of kidney, 10 skewers of potatoes, 10 skewers of green beans, 1 serving of chives, 1 grilled fish for grilled eggplants. Lu Qing ordered without looking at the menu. Xiushan belonged to the inland. Barbecue shops usually didn't serve seafood. Jiang Fei was shocked. So much? Don't be so narrow-minded. When they came here last time, the two of them had only ordered 1/3 of this amount. Even if the quantity of each skewer in Xiushan was obviously different from that in the north, it was still terrifying to order so much. Maybe we'll order more later. I'm practicing martial arts and I have a big appetite now. Lu Qing said with a smile. Jiang Fei was skeptical. Under the light of the shop, he looked Lu Qing up and down. Practicing martial arts? Anyway, Qing, you seem to have matured a little. This is called temperament. Lu Qing answered in a joking tone. What do you want to drink? Beer, of course. Let's drink a few glasses and find someone to drive us later. Jiang Fei turned to the waitress beside him, thinking about how much to order. Lu Qing waved his hand and smiled. I quit drinking for the sake of practicing martial arts. Besides, I have a cold now. Just give me a bottle of mineral water. He could foresee that he would have to say these words again and again. But since he had chosen the path of martial arts, he had to stick to it. He was not lazy and was not afraid of social interaction. Jiang Fei looked at him doubtfully. Really? Lu Qing nodded steadily. Why would I lie to you? He expressed his firm will in his tone. Well then, no one is drinking with me and I have to drive. Forget it, I want herbal tea. Jiang Fei rubbed his hands and didn't force him. By the way, Qing, since you're practicing martial arts, do you know any local martial arts club or gym? No, why? Lu Qing asked in confusion. Jiang Fei showed a bitter smile. I'm King fat again. I want to lose weight so that I won't get rounder after the new year. At least I need to stabilize my weight. But it's almost New Year, so martial arts clubs and gyms are closed. I can't find any. Lu Qing smiled. This kind of thing depends on self-awareness and persistence. Well, if you really want to lose weight, follow me to exercise every morning. I'm practicing martial arts every day. Jiang Fei took a breath. Qing, I didn't expect you to be so hardworking in martial arts. Has this old man gone crazy from talking? The waitress came back with herbal tea and mineral water. She opened them and filled their glasses. Do you know how to quote a poem? Lu Qing glanced at him. Are you going to exercise or not? Jiang Fei thought for a while. Okay, let's try. What time is it in the morning? He picked up the glass and drank the herbal tea. Later. I'll run to your house and call you. It's 6:10 a.m. Lu Qing thought for a while and answered. Oh. Jiang Fei spat out the herbal tea in his mouth. Lu Qing quickly raised his arm to block it, but was almost sprayed all over his face. 6:10 a.m.? 6:10 a.m. in the middle of winter? Jiang Fei wiped his mouth. Lu Qing looked at him with disdain. This is the time to test your will to lose weight. If you agree but don't get up, I'll smash your window. I've been wanting to do this for a long time. My slingshot is thirsty. Let's try it for 2 days first. Jiang Fei hesitated and agreed. Chapter 73. It was a cold winter night. The alley where Old Lu Barbecue was located was dilapidated and deserted, but the customers came one after another, which showed its fame. Decadent sounds came faintly from afar. It was brightly lit. It was another world. It was a famous bar street in Xiuqing. Only 3 alleys away, it was a completely different world from here. When he was in his second year of high school, Lu Qing was sitting in front of a playboy who gave up the college entrance examination. From time to time he would mention the bar street in front of him, saying that he was very familiar with it. Therefore Lu Qing had been famous for a long time. But every time he came here he would just eat barbecue and never take a detour. He always felt that the security around the bars and dance halls must be bad, so it was better to stay away from them. Listening to the singing in the air and smelling the fragrance of the barbecue, Lu Qing was suddenly hungry. The more he drank mineral water, the hungrier he became. "Hey Fatty Jiang, has the class reunion been decided?" He tried to focus on the conversation. Jiang Fei gulped down a mouthful of herbal tea and smacked his lips. "It's too sweet. It's different from the one in Guangnan. The reunion is 3 days from now. We'll climb Xiushan and walk to the conference villa of Spring Scenery Field." "Conference villa of Spring Scenery Field? Why do you make it so grand?" Lu Qing was shocked. Jiang Fei laughed. "You don't understand, do you? It's almost Chinese New Year, so there are no meetings there. The price is very low, not much more expensive than going to a farmhouse. 200 yuan per person is enough. You can play table tennis, badminton, tennis, basketball, free KTV, mahjong room and chess room. If you don't want to play these, you can climb the mountain, exercise and breathe the fresh air. Everyone is happy. You can do whatever you want. There's a hot spring hotel nearby. If you want to go there, just spend some money. For me, these are not attractive. It's better to sit in a group and chat, reminisce the embarrassing moments and share the experience of college." Lu Qing picked up the tissue next to him and blew his nose. "Bah, you're just pretending. I remember you liked to sing karaoke." Someone was a microphone hog several times during the summer vacation after the college entrance examination. Jiang Fei exposed Lu Qing's lie without mercy. Lu Qing laughed dryly and changed the topic. "How many people are coming this time?" "Only a few who are not in Xiushan didn't come. The rest have all agreed." "Haha, I wonder if those couples in the Taoist class have split up, and how many of the single dogs have found a partner." Jiang Fei said excitedly, completely not caring that he was a genuine single dog for 18 years. Lu Qing admired Fatty Jiang the most. He had a good personality, wasn't petty, could take a joke, and wasn't afraid of saying the wrong thing in front of him. Back when he was addicted to detective novels, he always wondered if Fatty Jiang was only open-minded on the surface and kept all his anger bottled up in his heart. Sooner or later he would be completely twisted and turn into a cold-blooded killer. He had specifically asked Fatty Jiang about Fatty Jiang's mental journey and found that Fatty Jiang was simply forgetful. He would forget the matter that made him angry just a moment ago. His life was enviable. Lu Qing coughed a few times. "Which teachers did you invite?" "Only Old Wu and Teacher Xan. The others were either too busy or didn't dare to invite, such as Old Li," Jiang Fei said with a smile. Old Li was the math teacher that Lu Qing and Yan Zhika had complained about. As the director of the Academic Affairs Office, he was quite frightening to the students. Old Wu and Teacher Xan had served as the head teacher of Lu Qing's class respectively. One taught Chinese, the other taught chemistry. Old Wu is a martial arts fan. Every time he comes to the class to patrol, he always talks about martial arts with us. Lu Qing was quite happy to meet the head teacher of the senior year. At this time, the waitress served the first batch of easy-to-barbecue meat skewers and sprinkled some chopped green onions on them. Lu Qing held back his hunger and took a picture with his mobile phone. He didn't send it to Yan Zhika immediately. He planned to show it off when the highlight came. "Done with the consecration?" Fatty Jiang asked with a smile. "Yes, let's eat." Lu Qing didn't hesitate and reached for a skewer of streaky pork. The meat skewers of Old Lu's barbecue were marinated with secret seasonings in advance. The aroma entered the nose and was indescribably attractive. Lu Qing ate a skewer in 2 or 3 bites. He felt that his mouth was full of all kinds of wonderful flavors, which made him miss the taste that made him hungry at midnight. He liked the skewers with some fatty meat so that they wouldn't be dry after being barbecued. The fat was forced out by the flame little by little, making sizzling sounds. The aroma was strong, but it wasn't too greasy. It melted in his mouth, and his mouth was full of the fragrance of oil. It was so delicious that he couldn't stop eating. After eating more than a dozen skewers, Lu Qing's hunger was slightly relieved. He had time to chat with Jiang Fei. They chatted about the interesting things in their respective schools and gossips of their high school classmates. After the first batch was finished, the second batch, which was harder to barbecue, was served. There were chicken wings, chicken tips, pork ribs, and so on. The signature grilled eggplant was also placed in 2 iron plates. The grilled eggplant here was completely different from those in other places, including Songqing and Yanling. After the grilled eggplant was roasted, there was a special process of stir-frying the ingredients. The secret seasonings and crispy peas were stir-fried with oil on high heat and poured over the grilled eggplant. The mixture penetrated the eggplant from the inside out and melted with the grilled eggplant juice. There was a little smell of fish and the taste of the eggplant itself. It was unforgettable and full of praise. In Lu Cheng's heart, eggplant was the emperor of the barbecue world. It was better than meat. Yanjika, who lived in Jiangnan, also couldn't forget it. As for those who liked to drink, they liked the crispy peas even more. They picked up one and chewed for a while, which was enough to go with the wine. Seeing that the highlight was coming, Lu Cheng picked up his phone again, adjusted the background color, took a picture that was very appetizing, and sent it to Yanjika together with the previous picture. "I'm so satisfied," he deliberately showed off. Yanjika immediately replied with a throwing dog emoji. The puppy of friendship is already dead. The corners of his mouth curled up, and a smile unconsciously appeared on his face. He typed another reply. Jiang Fei picked up a piece of eggplant meat and stuffed it into his mouth. He clicked his tongue and said, "Cheng, you're in love. You have to introduce us to her when you get her. Let's see what kind of beauty has you so infatuated with." "Actually, you know her," and just sighed with emotion. Lu Cheng silently ridiculed. He put down his phone, picked up the eggplant meat and dipped it in the gravy. "Okay, if it works out." He put the chopsticks into his mouth and the taste that he always missed burst out. He was so moved that his chopsticks flew. Jiang Fei picked up the herbal tea and said with a smile, "Then I wish you success. When the time comes and I have a target, I will ask for your advice. By the way, sister-in-law, do you have any girlfriends or friends? Remember me as your brother." "Sister-in-law, that's a good name." Lu Cheng praised in his heart. He thought for a while and joked, "You should lose weight first." Jiang Fei rolled his eyes and asked with great interest, "How do you know each other? Is she in your university class?" No, we are both in Songqing University Martial Arts Club." Lu Cheng told the truth but not the whole truth. "The first time we met was when you took me to the third class to see the beauties." He didn't want to tell Fatty Jiang and the others before he really got Yanjika. They were all high school classmates and knew each other. If the news spread and he failed miserably, it would be King embarrassing. Besides, he believed that Yanjika wouldn't like gossip. "Damn, so that's why you insist on practicing martial arts." Jiang Fei suddenly realized, as if he had solved the question he didn't dare to ask before. You can't judge a book by its cover. "Cheng, I didn't expect you to pay such a big price to not be a single dog." They talked and laughed, eating eggplant and chicken wings. In the end, the grilled fish was served. It was cooked in a similar way to the grilled eggplant, but for some reason, it was still not as good as the grilled eggplant in Lu Cheng's heart. After finishing the grilled fish, Lu Cheng added some more. Jiang Fei was stunned by Lu Cheng's appetite. He said with some fear, "Cheng, if I train with you, will I eat as much as you? How can I lose weight then? Do you think I'm fat?" Lu Cheng took out his wallet and asked for the bill. After this meal he felt completely alive. His cold symptoms were alleviated and his body was full of strength again. Jiang Fei looked at him carefully and said, "No." "Then it's settled. What's there to be afraid of?" Lu Cheng was full of confidence. Seeing the boss coming, Jiang Fei also took out his wallet. "Hey Cheng, I'll do it. It's a welcome dinner for you. How can you pay for it?" Hey, I recently joined a martial arts competition and earned some extra money. You don't have to compete with me." Lu Cheng showed off a little. Jiang Fei looked at him in surprise. "Earned money from a martial arts competition? Cheng, how long have you been practicing martial arts?" "I get it. You must have bullied a primary school student." "Get lost," Lu Cheng said concisely and paid for the barbecue. The total was less than 500 yuan. Although the weight of each skewer was not as good as other places, or even a little worse, it was quite cost-effective. Seeing that Lu Cheng was really rich, Jiang Fei did not rush to pay. He touched his belly and said, "Let's go for a walk nearby to digest. Deske, the food in Xiushan is so cheap. In Guangnan there are so many barbecue skewers and grilled fish. How can 400 yuan be enough?" Lu Cheng nodded and seriously asked the boss when the restaurant would open after the Spring Festival. Old Lu Barbecue would be on holiday the day after tomorrow. After receiving the news that the restaurant would open on the 8th day of the Spring Festival, he put his hand in his pocket with satisfaction. He had already ordered a small vacuum machine and an insulated lunchbox, waiting for them to arrive after the Spring Festival. The feeling of being rich is really different. In the whistling cold wind, the two strolled in the alley and continued to chat about various things. They strolled on the road to digest. Subconsciously, they avoided the road to the bar street and walked in the opposite direction. After turning into an alley, they saw a back street in front of them. The street lights were broken, so it was dark. Only the lights of the surrounding houses seeped through the windows, faintly discernible. Let's go back. Who knows what we will step on in the dark? Jiang Fei pulled up his down jacket. Lu Qing was about to answer when he suddenly saw several figures in front of them. One was desperately running away, and the other three were chasing after him with gleaming machetes. In the cold and dark alley, there was a burst of messy footsteps. Damn, the mafia will cut people. Let's avoid them. Jiang Fei was so scared that he started to tremble. Lu Qing did not want to cause trouble, so he immediately pulled Jiang Fei back and leaned to the side. At this moment, the running man entered a section with light around him. Wang Su. It was Wang Su. The one being chased was Wang Su. Lu Qing's senses were very sharp and his eyes were very sharp. He immediately recognized that the running man with knife wounds and bleeding was his childhood friend, Wang Su, whom he had met in the community before dinner. Chapter 74. In the dark, the back street seemed to be condensed into a scene in a movie. Lu Qing had been used to making quick decisions. After recognizing Wang Su, an idea flashed through his mind and he was ready to save him. If it was in the past, he would most likely not have dared to do so. Like Jiang Fei, he would be trembling with fear, not even daring to take a second look. At most, he would help to call the police, even if the person being chased was his childhood friend, someone who had once taken care of him. After all, he did not have the ability to do so. Not only would it be useless to interfere, but it would also hurt himself and implicate his family. But now, after the tempering of the Little Warrior Sage Challenge tournament, his martial arts and spirit had undergone a complete transformation. He was good at observation, decisive in his actions, and confident and steady in his bones. How could he not dare to help when he had the ability? Did he really want to watch Wang Su being hacked to death in front of him? In a flash, Lu Qing took off his down jacket and stuffed it into Jiang Fei's arms. He whispered, "Hide well." Jiang Fei was frightened and shocked. He didn't know what Lu Qing was going to do until he saw Lu Qing rushing out. He wanted to shout to stop him, but he didn't dare to open his mouth. He was extremely flustered. Why was Qing so reckless? Those were gangsters with knives. There were 3 of them. What should I do? While his mind was in a mess, Lu Qing didn't approach him directly. Instead, he observed the terrain and environment to make sure there were no cameras. Then he lowered his center of gravity and walked like a snake. He meandered through the dark area, not letting the dim light from the houses on both sides reveal his appearance. With the experience of pacing back and forth between victory and defeat in the challenge tournament and the accident of the Jindan, he was no longer flustered in the face of trouble. He could calmly consider the consequences of saving someone. If he was caught on camera, and if his appearance or characteristics were remembered by the pursuers, he was afraid that it would bring a lot of follow-up troubles to himself and his family. In particular, it was impossible for him to directly kill and silence them. Swaying his center of gravity in weird snake steps, Lu Qing approached very carefully. His eyes were locked on the 3 approaching enemies. He was not careless because he had fought a professional 9th pin before. There was an old saying in the body refining stage, no matter how good your martial arts are, you are still afraid of a kitchen knife. Even a professional 9th pin fighter would be cautious when facing more than 3 people with knives. A little carelessness could hurt him, let alone him who had just recovered from the backlash of the Jindan. This was not the challenge tournament where the referee was the last guarantee. Even if some fighters were too fast and some were too close, the referee could not stop them in time. At least most of the dangerous situations had been filtered out. In a real battle, knives and guns have no eyes. Life and death in a moment. Therefore it was fine if they didn't make a move, but once they did, they had to use all their strength to injure others. They had to quickly kill one of them so that the number of people would be reduced to 2 against 2. The sky was dark and the moon was nowhere to be seen. The 4 of them had no time to be distracted and didn't notice that someone was approaching them. When the distance between them was shortened to 10 meters, when they entered the darkest part of the back street, Lu Qing suddenly sped up. With a few big strides he came to Wang Su's side. He flashed past Wang Su's left and stared at the first thug's knife. Wang Su ran forward as usual. He felt like a ghost flashed past him. The leading thug saw Lu Qing running straight at him. He did not dare to be careless. He grinned, raised his right hand holding the knife and was about to chop down. Blood splattered in 5 steps. At this moment Lu Qing saw his wrist move. Suddenly, a silver lightning struck in Lu Cheng's mind, illuminating the darkness and igniting a prairie fire. The hot flow flowed down the spine and turned into an explosion of stamping on the ground. His speed was pushed to the extreme in an instant. Like an arrow leaving the bow, he jumped in front of the thug. He raised his hands and blocked the thug's wrist that misjudged the speed and the distance between them. The wrist that swung down, the wrist that held the knife. Close at hand, the long machete would lose its effect. Lu Cheng blocked the wrist, twisted his waist and back, tightened his thigh muscles, and his knee whizzed out and hit the thug's abdomen in front of him. The thug's abdomen caved in with a dull sound. His eyes bulged, tears and snot flowed out. His body went soft and was about to collapse. Lu Cheng retracted one hand and supported him. His other hand twisted and broke the wrist holding the knife. He shook to the side and let the machete fall to the ground. He directly disabled a thug in a face-to-face confrontation. This caused the pupils of the other thug to contract. Without thinking, he brandished his knife and slashed at Wang Su. He no longer chased after Wang Su, and the third thug behind him also caught up. Lu Cheng was not in a hurry. He straightened his waist and back and pushed the guy he supported directly to the thug next to him, making the latter panic. He took a step to the left as if he was ready to hit the vital part from the side. Seeing this, the third thug immediately swung his knife to save his companion. All of a sudden, Lu Cheng's spine moved like a dragon breaking through a fence. He forced his muscles to change his center of gravity and pulled his body back. Then he spun his feet and came to the back of the third thug. Such a change in the dark street really gave one a feeling of being haunted. Changing his position, Lu Cheng lowered his center of gravity and put on a sitting posture. In his mind, the snowy peaks collapsed and white streams rolled, unstoppable. He raised his right arm and punched down fiercely with the force of a hammer. Bam! This punch landed heavily on the third fighter's shoulder, making a cracking sound. The fighter's right shoulder caved in and he let out a miserable cry. The fighter dropped his machete and rolled on the ground with his left hand on his right shoulder. The mighty mega avalanche. In 2 breaths, the remaining thug did not even see his opponent's height, short, fat or thin. He was scared out of his wits and stopped attacking. He did not think about his companion anymore. He waved his machete wildly and hurriedly ran back. A wise man submits to circumstances. Lu Cheng pretended to be chasing him and deliberately made a stomping sound. He was scared out of his wits and did not dare to look back. Like a rabbit shot by an arrow, he quickly jumped to the other end of the back street and blended into the darkness. Hearing the scream, Wang Su stopped in shock and looked back. He saw that the pursuers were either falling down or running away. It was calm now. "Who is it?" he asked subconsciously. Meanwhile, Jiang Fei, who was hiding in a dark corner, was already dumbfounded. He did not know what time it was. He seemed to have seen Superman just now. No, how did Cheng become Superman? The phone in his hand was flashing, but the fight was over before he could make a call. Lu Cheng walked back to the light and observed the 2 thugs who were groaning on the ground. He was afraid that they had the strength to stand up again. At the same time, he put his index finger to his mouth and signaled Wang Su to keep quiet. When Wang Su saw the figure walking out of the darkness, his mind was in a trance. He even forgot about the pain from the knife wound on his back. He wondered if he had been slashed to the ground and was on the verge of death. He was having a bizarre dream and hallucinations of dying. How could it be Cheng? He was not weak, but he was a good student who did not dare to fight. He was not as strong as Wang Su and was not as courageous as Wang Su. It was not an exaggeration to say that he was a bookworm. But it was this kind of Cheng who defeated the 3 thugs who were chasing him with knives in a few breaths. They were amateur 6th or 7th pin machete men who were highly valued by the boss of the enemy force. What was this if not a dream? Didn't I say I would teach him a few moves and improve his martial arts? The pain woke him up quickly. Noticing Lu Cheng's gesture, he pointed outside and quickly turned into another alley. Lu Cheng ran back to his original position, pulled the stupefied Jiang Fei and quickly left the place. The dim back street was once again deserted. Only 2 figures were still curled up on the ground, groaning in pain. 2 alleys away, Lu Cheng met up with Wang Su. He asked Jiang Fei to hide not far away so that his high school buddy would not be involved in this kind of thing. "Do you have a place to go?" Lu Cheng asked straightforwardly. Wang Su wrapped his wound with the clothes inside and said absent-mindedly, "I have a place to go. I can treat the wound there." "Then go quickly. I won't get involved. We can talk later." Lu Cheng's tone was firm. He made it clear that he would not get involved in this kind of thing. He was just saving a friend. Wang Su exhaled and nodded. If this thing can be settled, I will come and talk to you later. After that, he quickened his pace and disappeared at the other end of the alley. Looking at his back, Lu Qing shook his head and sighed. He quickly left this place and took Jiang Fei back to the old Lu barbecue. They sat in the car. Jiang Fei was still in a state of shock. He stole glances at Lu Qing from time to time. I said, if you want to see it, just do it openly. Lu Qing put on his down jacket again and replied to Yanjika's message. Do you know the one who was being chased? Jiang Fei asked casually. Yes, he is my childhood friend. Lu Qing gave a concise answer. Jiang Fei didn't care about this question. He stared at Lu Qing and said, Qing, when did you become Superman? I remember we used to fight and you were crushed by my weight. There was martial arts content in high school PE, and the two of them had pretended to spar a few times. Didn't I tell you that I joined the University Martial Arts Club and practiced martial arts every day? Lu Qing raised his chin. Let's go back early. Jiang Fei started the car and muttered, Didn't you join the martial arts club to chase girls? It's only been a few months. Both hands have to be strong, Lu Qing said casually. He was in a bad mood because of Wang Su, so he didn't take the opportunity to show off that he had participated in the Warrior Sage Challenge tournament and fought with professional ninth pin fighters several times. Before starting the car, Jiang Fei looked at Lu Qing again. Under the light in the car, he found that his high school friend's face was a little haggard. But compared to before, he was thinner. From the eyebrows to the chin, the lines and contours were more distinct. He pursed his lips tightly and had a calming temperament. He seemed to be full of confidence in his words and actions, which made people follow his orders subconsciously. Qing, you seem to have matured. Jiang Fei couldn't find the right words to describe it. He had said this when they were eating barbecue, but now it had a different meaning. Lu Qing smiled. I hope it's a compliment. Chapter 75. Of course it's a compliment. Jiang Fei answered without hesitation. The unfamiliarity brought about by the shock and fear had completely faded away. As he steered the steering wheel, he clicked his tongue and said, Compared to the end of August, you're like a completely different person. If it weren't for the fact that you're still so boring and have such a cheap mouth, I would have thought that I had met a stranger who looked like you. If you didn't say the latter part, we would still be good friends. Lu Qing laughed and scolded him. What was boring and mean? What was mean by mean? Jiang Fei looked ahead and became more excited. Qing, how did you do it? How long has it been? Not even half a year. How did you suddenly become so powerful? Just now, I saw you take care of a few gangsters with knives in just a few moves. Previously, I had been concentrating on my studies, so I didn't realize that I had the talent to enter meditation. Enter meditation. Songqing University Martial Arts Club, in order to regain its glory, found a good coach this year. With the combination of these two factors, I improved by leaps and bounds. However, this effect only appeared at the very beginning. The higher you go, the more difficult it is, and the slower your improvement. Jiang Fei was not a pure martial arts fan. He just liked to join in the fun. He had no direct impression of the amateur ranks outside of the professional martial arts competition, so he couldn't judge Lu Qing's general level. He knew that Lu Qing was very powerful, but he didn't know how powerful he was. So he laughed and said, I see. Why didn't I realize that you have talent? Brother Lu, Master Qing, if I'm bullied in the future, you have to help me. Or we. A cloud-piercing arrow and thousands of soldiers and horses will come to meet us. Lu Qing joked. Jiang Fei drove steadily, but his tone was more excited. Qing, tomorrow morning, can you teach me a few moves? So that I can show off? Sure, as long as you can calm down and stand still. Lu Qing nodded slightly. Still stance was the foundation of real martial arts, followed by moving stance, which was the so-called routine training method. Lastly, it was the practical fighting method such as 24 blizzard strikes. Jiang Fei said excitedly, Don't worry. I'm forgetful. I can calm down. I doubt it. Lu Qing complained silently. Fatty Jiang's mind drifted and he liked to fantasize, which was the opposite of the requirement of concealment of spirit and qi. While talking, the car arrived at the destination and stopped at the gate of the community. Lu Qing unbuckled his seat belt and said, Go to bed early. If you can't get up tomorrow morning, we'll forget it. When I was in high school, I worked hard and I got up early. Jiang Fei said proudly, Qing, I'll keep it a secret. Yeah, I didn't see anything before. Lu Qing laughed. He stood outside the car door and looked down at Fatty Jiang. Well, if you didn't mention it, I would have forgotten that you have a big mouth. Back home, the room was still empty. Lu Qing recalled the rescue process and confirmed that there was no problem with the details. As long as Wang Su didn't say anything, he couldn't find him. Then he was completely relieved. He was busy for a while washing the clothes and throwing them into the washing machine. Then he logged into the mailbox to see if his master had sent him the video and information of the big and small hand wrap. Not yet. Then I'll focus on recovery training tomorrow. Lu Qing sat on the sofa, playing with his phone and chatting with Yan Zhika while waiting for the clothes to be washed. Around 9 o'clock, he was about to get up to dry the clothes when he suddenly heard light footsteps from the 4th floor to the 5th floor. Lu Qing turned his ear and naturally entered the condensation stance state. He was sure that it was only one person, so he calmly walked to the entrance. After confirming that the footsteps stopped outside his house, he suddenly opened the door unexpectedly. Outside the door, Wang Su had changed his clothes and was wearing a military green coat. His face was pale and his eyes were full of shock. It seemed that he hadn't decided whether to knock or not. Have you treated the wound? How's it going? Lu Qing signaled him to come in first. Wang Su stepped in carefully and said while closing the door, I asked someone to treat it. It's not a big deal. Tonight's disturbance has been temporarily settled. He was carrying a bottle of Ningxue Daku white wine, which was a local specialty. Once out of Xioshan, it was impossible to see it again. Generally speaking, those who had some ability liked to get the original proof wine from Ningxue Wine Factory, which was said to be mellow, spicy, and fragrant. I know you've quit drinking. This is the authentic original proof wine I prepared for myself. Wang Su skillfully opened the cabinet where Lu Qing's father kept the wine glasses and took out 2 glasses. Lu Qing watched him wash the glasses and pour the wine. He was curious and amused. You're injured. Why are you drinking? How can we chat without drinking? Just treat it as disinfection. Wang Su sat down and said with a smile. How can you disinfect like that? Lu Qing scolded with a smile. After the laughter, there was silence between them. It seemed that neither of them had figured out how to start the conversation. In the depressing silence, Wang Su picked up the glass and took a sip. He sighed and said, Qing, I don't know how to thank you tonight. If it weren't for you, my parents would have to pour the wine on my grave. I haven't thanked you for taking care of me before. Now that I've learned some martial arts, how could I watch you die in front of me? Lu Qing said frankly and sincerely. Before. Wang Su chuckled. To be honest, I was quite naive at that time. First, I thought about our childhood friendship. Second, I thought that the kids in our factory shouldn't be bullied by outsiders. Memories flashed in his mind. Lu Qing took a breath and said, Brother Su, you can't go on like this. Wang Su raised his head and looked at him. He blurted out, Tonight, it's all because of that son of AB** Tijian Laosen. He hired a professional 9th pin master from the provincial capital and attacked our bar when we weren't prepared. He almost killed Lu on the spot. Luckily, Brother Biao and Brother Wei fought hard enough to stop him. But they outnumbered us, so we had to run. The ones who chased me were the saber men under Jian Laosan. They were all of amateur 6th or 7th pin. Usually, I can handle one of them, but at that time, I had no choice but to run. Qing, I didn't expect you to be so powerful. You took care of them in 2 or 3 moves. Lu Qing shook his head. That's not the point, Brother Su. Not to mention that my abilities are limited. Even if I'm an expert, I can only save you once, but I can't save you forever. Do you really want to walk this path to the end? Wang Su fell silent. After a long time, he smiled bitterly and said, I understand what you're saying. I've been in the underworld for a few years and I've seen a lot. The most successful big brothers have been washed clean, while the average ones have been beaten to death. No matter how good one's kung fu is, there's always a moment of carelessness. A moment of carelessness can lead to a different person. Among the group I followed, some of them lost their hands and some died in the commercial street. Seeing their end, even if I'm a rash kid, I'm still scared. I tried to find a martial arts club to practice martial arts and tried to quit. I saved a sum of money and planned to start a small business. But in the martial arts world, how can I control myself? Big Brother is going to start a movie and asked me to go. Should I go? What will happen if I don't go? Even if it's just for the sake of brotherhood, I can't refuse. Even during the most chaotic time in junior high, Lu Qing didn't know about these things. Hearing this, he felt depressed. After a moment of consideration, he said calmly, Brother Su, have you ever thought of jumping out? Jumping out? Wang Su looked at him in confusion. Lu Qing said calmly, I went to Songqing to study. When I came back, I also took a trip to Yanling. In these 2 places, I almost couldn't feel the connection with Xioshan. The world is so big, so why should I be trapped in Xioshan? Since it's hard to cut ties here, why not try to go out and see the world? Wait 3 to 5 years and come back when they've almost forgotten you. Wang Su was stunned. After a long time he took a sip of wine and said, Cheng, you're still a student? Fortunately, I haven't become Li's henchman. Otherwise, if I get involved in some things and see some secrets, I won't be able to leave just because I want to. Besides, what can I do after I go out? Sell my strength? I see a few people in the community who work in other provinces live worse than me. What's the point of living like that? Don't you want to start a small business? Lu Qing guessed that Wang Su must be very carefree. According to the playboy sitting in front of him, this kind of thug didn't have to worry about cigarettes, alcohol, women, or money. Ordinary people wouldn't even dare to look at him when he walked on the street. Wang Su lowered his head and poured the wine. He said slowly, I'll think about it. Looking at him, Lu Qing suddenly felt a wave of emotion. Two people with similar family backgrounds had chosen different paths in junior high school and led completely different lives. Lu Qing concentrated on his studies, entered number 1 middle school, and was admitted to Songqing University. Usually he was in a clean classroom, a beautiful campus, and classmates from all over the world. They talked about games, movies, novels, teachers, girls, courses, and career prospects. Although there was pressure, he rarely came into contact with the bottom of society. He lived in a world where light was more than darkness, and hope was more than despair. Wang Su, on the other hand, was addicted to debauchery and scared of fighting for his life. Every time he got drunk, he might not be able to wake up safely. He enjoyed it, but the overall tone of life was gray. If he couldn't get to the top, if he couldn't successfully clear his name, he would be swallowed by the darkness sooner or later. Despair was more than light. Studying can change one's fate, and so can martial arts. Lu Qing was more certain of this than at any other time. He changed the topic and said, Brother Su, you didn't tell anyone about me, right? Wang Su took another sip of wine. Don't worry. I know you're a good student. I won't cause you trouble. Lu asked me before and I said I was lucky to meet a friend from the martial arts club. That's how I got away with it. By the way, how did you practice martial arts? How did you become so good all of a sudden? I just happened to be talented. I didn't know before I started practicing martial arts. I met a former physical invulnerability mighty one as my coach. That's how I managed to catch up with normal people. Lu Qing deliberately mentioned the existence of Gizershur. After witnessing Wang Su's daily life, although he was confident in their friendship, he didn't dare to be careless. The title of a physical invulnerability mighty one had directly destroyed all of his hopes and desires. Wang Su visibly trembled. He forced a smile and said, No wonder I met a good coach. Qing, can you teach me a few moves? So that I can have more assurance before I succeed in quitting. The foundation of my martial arts is still stance and meditation. You can try concealment of spirit and qi first. Lu Qing repeated the formula to Wang Su and explained a few key points. Wang Su knew that good martial arts were based on silence. He didn't question and listened carefully. At the end he said, I'll go back and practice. I'll ask you later. Keep this bottle of wine for Uncle Lu. After watching him leave the room and close the door, Lu Qing suddenly sighed. He felt that they were in a completely different world now. As for Wang Su's ability to meditate, he had no confidence at all. How could a drunk person meditate? Life is really full of different circumstances. P.S. As usual, I'll be updating in advance on Monday. Looking for recommendation tickets. Well, I'll be posting on the 1st of December. By then I'll have over 400,000 chapters. I can't update, so I'm thanking everyone in this free way. Chapter 76. After hanging up the laundry, Lu Qing locked the door and went back to his room. Lying on the edge of the bed, he couldn't calm down for a long time. He had an impulse to tell her everything. He took out his phone and sent a message to Yanjika. Something happened after we finished the barbecue today. He tried his best to describe his relationship with Wang Su, his thoughts when he saw Wang Su being chased, and the change in his mood after having a deep conversation with him. Yanjika asked questions from time to time, but didn't say much. When he finished, she said seriously, Qing, I think it's still the old saying that everyone has their own future. It doesn't have to be studying or martial arts. Speaking of this, I remember I told you this before. Then you can defeat a professional 9th pin fighter in 4 months. Oh no, I'm so ashamed in front of you. She immediately sent an emoji of squatting in the corner and drawing circles. Lu Qing's gloomy mood was diluted a little. He couldn't help but say, Actually, I thought what you said made sense at that time. I never thought I could reach the professional level so quickly. Don't interrupt. Do you still want to hear me out? Yin Zhika said with a fierce emoji. You're the one who interrupted me? Of course Lu Qing didn't dare to answer like this. He said with a silly smile, Coach Yin, please go ahead. Everyone has their own destiny. We're not gods, immortals or gods. It's already amazing to be able to change the fate of the few closest to us. As for the others, we can only do our best and leave the rest to fate. We can't make decisions for them, nor can we force them to change their will. Yin Zhika didn't use an emoticon when she sent this message. Lu Qing exhaled and typed on the keyboard. I understand that, but I always feel powerless and depressed. We used to be such good friends, but now we're in a completely different world. And there's nothing I can do. I can only watch. Qing, most people are selfish, so am I. I draw circles with myself as the center. The innermost circle is my parents, who are close immediate family members. They are definitely more important than close friends and close friends. Friends are also divided into two categories. One can be good friends for life, and the other can only accompany you through a certain period of life. Just like two non-parallel lines, they intersect at some point, but because of different ideas, choices, characters, and encounters, they will drift apart sooner or later. Instead of meeting each other, it's better to miss each other. For you, Wang Su should be in this category. Yin Zhika typed a lot of words. It was the first time for Lu Qing to see Yin Zhika seriously explaining her three values. Then where is your future other half? He asked subconsciously. Yin Zhika sent a squinting emoji. I'm not telling you, are you listening to me carefully? Hit the table. Yes. Go on, Coach Yin. Lu Qing held back his laughter and replied. After some jesting, he felt that his mood had recovered a lot. If you can make a good friend for life, you must have something in common with yourself. Wang Su obviously doesn't. Are you willing to give up your studies and fight for your life in the underworld? Are you willing to cause a lot of trouble for him and even affect your family? Yin Zhika asked back. Lu Qing thought seriously and said, I don't want him to affect my current life. Yin Zhika sent an emoji of nodding repeatedly. Therefore, just as you said yourself, the two of you are already in completely different worlds. If he doesn't turn back, the gap will only grow wider and wider. Sooner or later, there will only be memories left. To put it cruelly, he is just an interlude in your life. It's enough that you helped him wholeheartedly within the limits of your abilities. Regrets are inevitable. My grandpa and grandma taught many disciples. Some joined the police, some joined the army, some worked hard in the professional martial arts circle, some mingled in the business world, and some went astray. There are many like them. Heroes break the rules with martial arts. My grandpa and grandma once felt sad and couldn't sleep because of this. They were furious because of this. Later they finally thought it through. They tried their best to stop them and save them. That's enough. There's no need to take it to heart. It's hard to be perfect in life. I just want to have a clear conscience. Lu Qing looked at her quietly and was lost in thought. After a while he took a deep breath and said, I understand. It's good that I have a clear conscience. I'm just a freshman. I saved his life when we met and sincerely persuaded him to quit. I've done my best. There's no need to take it to heart. Not bad. You're worth teaching. Yin Zhika sent a proud emoji of pushing up her glasses. Actually, you handled the matter very well today. You saved his life and didn't get involved in it. I used to fantasize that I would be a chivalrous hero after I mastered martial arts. But I was also worried that I would break the rules with martial arts and that there would be a lot of trouble in the future. What you did today satisfied all my fantasies about this kind of thing. Lu Qing was a little proud and happy. He sent a smirk emoji and said, It's all because you taught me well, Coach Yin. Yin teaches by example. Yin teaches by example. Yin teaches by example. Yin teaches by example. Yin produces a great disciple. You're getting better at using words. Yin Zhika replied with an emoji of staring at a dog. After such a confession and teasing, Lu Qing's mood completely recovered. He even put on his signature silly smile. They chatted until 10 o'clock. Then he reluctantly went to brush his teeth and take a shower, preparing to go to bed on time. When he finished everything and lay on the bed, he found that Kai Zongming had finally come home. He logged on QQ, saw the message and replied. Secret? You're not a girl. I'm not interested in your secret unless it's your dark history. Classmate Xiaoming sent a naughty emoji of shaking a finger. Lu Qing replied to Yin Zhika first. Then he said to himself without caring whether Kai Zongming was interested or not, I took a detour to Yenling on my way home this time. I participated in a Warrior Sage Challenge tournament called Phoenix Cup. Guess what result I got? Damn, you're so far away. As for the result, do I even need to guess? You've already told me the full name of the tournament. I just searched it casually. Are you stupid? On the other side of the internet, Kai Zongming sat in front of the computer table, typing with both hands, habitually teasing Lu Cheng. Lu Cheng snorted and muttered to himself, "That's the effect I want. Don't I know you well, Kai Xiaoming? The result that I tell you is definitely not as shocking as the result that you search for yourself." Kai Zongming opened the browser and searched for the official website. He clicked in and read the news directly. The final, Jiang Lan versus Wang Yi? Professional 8th pin versus professional 9th pin? The 3rd and 4th finals, Huang Xinzhong versus Bai Song? It's also a battle between professional 8th pin and professional 9th pin. Kai Zongming read while twitching the corner of his mouth. He immediately sent a message to Lu Cheng. *CK, I was actually fooled by you. With the level of this competition, your name must have been buried among the masses. How can you find it? Keep reading. Lu Cheng didn't say much and waited for Xiaoming to find it himself. Kai Zongming looked at the screen in confusion. He moved the mouse and suddenly found a news. Contestant, number 656, Lu Cheng withdrew from the quarterfinals due to physical exhaustion. Quarterfinals? He clicked in, suspecting that it was someone with the same name. No rank. Songqing University student. Defeated professional 9th pin. After a while he read the keywords silently. Then he picked up his phone without hesitation and called Lu Cheng. "Cheng, you didn't ask someone to make a fake website, did you?" Kai Zongming blurted out as soon as the phone was connected. Lu Cheng smiled proudly. "Damn. You're not Yen Zhika. Do I need to make a fake website to fool you? Do you need to be so smart with your IQ? But you defeated senior brother Wu from the martial arts club by running. It didn't take long. How did you advance from amateur 9th pin to professional 9th pin?" Kai Zongming couldn't hide his astonishment. Lu Cheng tried to make his tone sound casual. "Not long? It's been 3 whole months. I've learned 24 blizzard strikes and improved my strength, speed and body coordination. I've also gained a lot of experience in sparring. I've also watched a lot of martial arts club matches. The initial opponents in this arena were relatively weak. I fought them one by one and gradually mastered 24 blizzard strikes. I also mastered listening skill and mercurial balance. With some luck, I finally made it into the top 8. Kai Zongming was silent for a while and then said, "Cheng, why do I feel that you're showing off?" "Yes, I'm showing off." Lu Cheng couldn't help but laugh. "Come and beat me if you can." "Beat me? Can you beat me?" "Damn." Kai Zongming was angry and amused. "I've never seen such a bitch like you. Just you wait. I'll join the martial arts club for special training next semester. With my talent and Geezer Sher's guidance, I'll catch up with you in no time. Let's see how you'll show off then." Lu Cheng was satisfied and ready to go to bed. Before hanging up the phone, he said, "There are videos of my matches on the internet. Watch them carefully." Without waiting for Kai Zongming's reply, he hung up the phone and went to say goodnight to Yen Zhika. After a few days of the challenge tournament, Yen Zhika knew that he got up at 5:30 to train every day. She deeply admired him and acknowledged his improvement in strength. Kai Zongming held his phone and was stunned for a moment. Then he found the videos and clicked on them. As he watched, his mouth opened little by little but didn't close. When the videos were finished, he murmured to himself like he was sleep-talking, "Is this AF** King Orange? I feel like he could beat me several times. He couldn't have been possessed by some old devil, right?" Of course, such things didn't exist in reality. They only existed in novels. At 5:30 the next day, Lu Cheng got up on time. He put on his martial arts suit, took his phone and keys, and jogged to Jiang Fei's neighborhood for preliminary warm-up. At this time the sky was dark and there was no morning light. The street lights on both sides of the street were dim, illuminating the deserted silence and setting off more loneliness. Lu Cheng's breath turned into fog. He arrived outside Jiang Fei's house in the cold. He gave him a call to confirm that he had gotten up. After finishing the set of moves, which was the training routine, Lu Cheng saw Jiang Fei shivering out of the neighborhood. His white martial arts suit was grotesquely stretched by his fat. He held back his laughter and said, "Let's run to warm up first." Okay. After what happened yesterday, Jiang Fei was looking forward to practicing martial arts. "Cheng, where should we run?" Lu Cheng had already planned the process. He pointed to the left and said, "Run to Sanli Pavilion and train in People's Park." Sonli Pavilion? People's Park? Jiang Fei opened his mouth wide and his face was pale. You'd better kill me. It's at least 10 kilometers. Please recommend me. Chapter 77. Lu Qing couldn't really let a chubby person like Jiang Fei run 10 kilometers in one go during his first training. That would kill him. The destination was the same, but the method could be adjusted. He let Jiang Fei run until he couldn't bear it anymore. Then he would stop and take a rest. He would do yin-yang stance or condensation stance to train his body coordination and improve his concentration. After more than an hour of running and stopping, they finally arrived at Sanli Ting People's Park. Jiang Fei was so tired that he was sweating profusely. He had to wipe his sweat from time to time, otherwise his eyes would be covered by it. If it weren't for Lu Cheng's example, he would have gone on strike. This kind of training was really inhumane. At this time the sky was already bright. The office workers who were still on holiday were all out. There were many breakfast stalls near the park. Compared to the dark, cold, and silent environment when Lu Cheng first left home, the environment here was like returning to the human world. Jiang Fei found a grocery store with red eyes. He bought 2 bottles of water and gulped them down. After a long time he finally felt better. He looked at Lu Cheng as if he was looking at a monster. Cheng, why don't you breathe? Although I have rested all the way, I'm still King tired. This distance. Lu Cheng looked at him with disdain. I ran more than 20 kilometers in the morning exercise. Why don't you participate in the extreme long-distance running? Jiang Fei blurted out. Lu Cheng joked, I'm not bragging. I can run so fast that they all call me daddy. Well, in fact, after I started the martial arts training, I also awakened the endurance talent. This is enough to be called abnormal. No wonder. Then what's the use of using you as a role model? Jiang Fei's expression was dull. He was speechless for a long time and felt deep regret. Then he said, let's start the martial arts training. Since he was abducted here, he should at least gain something. He hoped that this kind of training could help him lose weight successfully. He hoped that he could learn a thing or two and show off in front of girls in the future. Lu Cheng patted his martial arts suit and pointed to the gate of the park. Go in and find a quiet place. It's convenient for you to meditate. All right. Jiang Fei was indeed forgetful. He had already regained his senses. The two of them entered the park and saw that under the shade of the trees, beside the lawn and by the lake, there were trainers in groups of 2s and 3s. Some of them had silver-white hair and were practicing Tai Chi. Some of them were nimble and were training with each other. Some of them were stretching their bodies and practicing. It was really a lively scene. Damn, I didn't know that there were so many people training in Xioshan. Under the light of dawn, Jiang Fei was stunned. This was the first time he came to the People's Park at 7 in the morning. Let's go deeper. Lu Cheng glanced around, looking for a quiet place. Walking along the path beside the artificial lake, the two of them became quieter and quieter. However, they could still see people around them, and it was obvious that they were more professional. At first glance, it was obvious that they were martial artists practicing in the morning. Some were under the guidance of masters, some were urging each other, and some were practicing alone. From time to time they could hear the crisp sound of inch force. If I hadn't come here, I wouldn't have known that there are so many martial artists in Xioshan. Lu Cheng glanced at him. This was only one of the parks that was suitable for training. Yeah, they seem to be very good at training. Jiang Fei tried to stretch his neck to look. Lu Cheng patted him and said, don't look like that. Be careful not to break the taboo. According to the rules in the martial arts circle, looking at other people's training without permission will make you enemies. Geezer Sher had specifically explained this to him before, so that he wouldn't get into trouble due to his youthful vigor and curiosity. Of course, martial artists wouldn't be too harsh on ordinary people who occasionally passed by and glanced at them. Jiang Fei retracted his gaze and said with emotion, didn't they say that all the martial arts dojos and gyms in the city were closed? Why do I feel that they all came here? They can stop their business, but they can't stop their own training. Music never leaves the mouth, fist never leaves the hand. Lu Cheng imitated Geezer Sher's tone and said, these must be the true disciples of their respective martial arts dojos. While talking, the two of them came to the other side of the artificial lake. When they were looking for a quiet place, Jiang Fei suddenly pointed at a group of people in front of them and said, Qin Rue. Qin Rue? Isn't that a student of the amateur rank in the high school class? Lu Cheng followed Jiang Fei's finger and saw that among the group of people wearing blue martial arts suits with white edges, there was a big guy who was more than 9 meters tall. He had short eyebrows, a high nose and coarse hair. It was Qin Rui. Because of his height, this guy didn't participate in the seat rotation and sat in the last row of the class all year round. It was said that he joined the Gushin martial arts school in the third year of middle school and mixed in with the same group of people in other classes. He had some reputation in the whole grade, but his grades were getting worse year by year. All he wanted was to get a high school diploma and leave a way out. Noticing the pointers and hearing Jiang Fei's voice, Qin Rui said a few words to his companions and walked over. "Fatty Jiang? You've put on weight again." Qin Rui was stunned at first, but then he laughed at him kindly. Jiang Fei spread his hands and said helplessly, "That's why I'm here to train. Hey, do you know this guy next to me?" "Why not? He's Lu Qing. I always copy his homework." Qin Rui looked at Lu Qing with a smile. "I heard that you've been admitted to Songqing University. Not bad, you look so energetic." Lu Qing laughed. "You're talking as if I used to be very dispirited. I didn't expect to see you here. I've been training here in the mornings for the past 6 months. It's your first time here." Qin Rui was quite happy to see an old classmate. So it's very likely to meet certain classmates in certain places. Lu Qing suddenly understood. And the easiest place to meet a high school classmate was the repeaters in the number 1 middle school campus. "You've been here in the past 6 months?" he asked subconsciously. Qin Rui said casually, "This is extra training. I used to train at night because I had to study during the day." "Why do you want extra training? Are you going to participate in the ranking event after the new year?" Jiang Fei asked curiously. Qin Rui's expression suddenly became excited. "It's not the ranking event, it's the preliminaries." Preliminaries? Lu Qing and Jiang Fei both knew what the preliminaries meant. It was the entrance to the professional martial arts circle. Yes, the preliminaries. In any case, Xioshan is a famous place in the province, but we haven't had any forces or teams in the professional martial arts circle, so we're at a disadvantage in some aspects. In fact, it's not like there haven't been any professional masters in our city. We even have masters in the Danchi state, but we haven't seen any organizations and we've all gone our own way. Therefore, the professional masters are either old and not as strong as they used to be, or they've left Xioshan and joined other teams. Qin Rui started talking non-stop. For the professional martial arts masters who hadn't reached the physical invulnerability state, they could fight occasionally when they got older. But they couldn't fight in the preliminaries all year round. Wouldn't it be better to be a judge, teach disciples, be a guest, or mingle in the police circle? Jiang Fei was interested and hurriedly asked, "So this time someone organized it? A rich man sponsored it?" Qin Rui nodded hard and said, "It's not someone but the government directly stepped in and gave them subsidies. They set up a martial arts foundation, specially hired people to manage and organize it. They invited all the martial arts clubs and sects in Xioshan to participate and select masters to form teams to participate in the preliminaries. In 10 years they'll strive to enter the 3rd level, the North-South Division." Speaking of this, he laughed. "But where there are people there's Jianghu. No one in the martial arts circle in Xioshan wants to take the lead. So the person in charge of the martial arts foundation plans to select the masters through actual combat in the first year, and let several masters to participate in the preliminaries on their own. The one who goes the furthest will get the leading position in the 2nd year. At that time, they'll invite a professional 9th pin or even professional 8th pin master from Xioshan to be the leader and try to get some of the unique martial arts skills rewarded in the preliminaries as soon as possible." "You're one of the masters?" Lu Qing asked with a smile. Qin Rui gave him a thumbs up. "Got it. Gushin Martial Arts School, Liheng Martial Arts School, and Fuguang Martial Arts School are one group. Mingwei Martial Arts School, Shifeng Martial Arts School, and several sects are another group. Those are my senior brothers and sisters and they're all very strong." He pointed at the group of martial artists who were wearing blue outfits with white edges. They were slowly practicing their martial arts routines. Lu Qing glanced at them and chatted for a while. Then he said goodbye to Qin Rui and went to a secluded place to practice. "Qing, in your opinion, how strong are they?" Jiang Fei asked curiously when they were far away from the group of martial artists in a small forest. Lu Qing smiled. "They're just practicing the routines. How can I see through them? I don't have fiery golden eyes. But since they have the confidence to participate in the preliminaries, they should be at least of amateur 1 or 2 pin. That was the entry level of the professional martial arts circle. Even if they weren't of professional 9th pin, they shouldn't be too far away from it. Otherwise it would only bring disgrace upon themselves. Amateur 1 or 2 pin. That's pretty good." Jiang Fei sighed with emotion. In his impression, Qin Rue, who was of amateur fourth pin in the second half of his senior year in high school, was already very prestigious in the circle of all schools, let alone amateur 1 or 2 pin. After sighing with emotion, he looked at Lu Cheng and asked, "Cheng, what's your level now?" "I haven't participated in the ranking event, so I can't say for sure. But according to my estimation, my strength should be around this range." Lu Cheng answered modestly. After all, the right time, right place, and right people were needed to fight against professional 9th pin fighters. Around this range? Jiang Fei was stunned. He knew yesterday that his buddy was good at martial arts, but he didn't expect him to be so good. He could even represent Xioshan in the professional martial arts preliminaries. "He couldn't even beat me half a year ago." Lu Cheng moved his body. "Stop chatting. Let's start practicing." Jiang Fei was excited at the thought of Lu Cheng's strength. He stood up straight and said with a military posture, "Okay." Lu Cheng first taught him the kung fu of meditation and explained the essence and key points of concealment of spirit and qi. He let Jiang Fei try it first while he practiced yin-yang stance and condensation stance again. After practicing meditation, he opened his eyes and started to practice the moving stance, which was the training routine. It could train the muscles from different aspects and adapt to some force exertion skills. It could make the body more vigorous and strong. When he was in the martial arts club, the muscle strength measurement room was more professional and more targeted. Therefore, Lu Cheng was more inclined to the body and force exertion skills in the training routine. After a round of practice slowly, he looked at Jiang Fei next to him and saw that his eyes moved. So he smiled and said, "Can't stand anymore? Are you tired and irritated?" "Yeah, this meditation is so boring and there's no progress at all." Jiang Fei opened his eyes immediately. Lu Cheng asked him about his feelings and told him his own experience. Then he said, "If you don't have outstanding talent, it's normal to practice meditation for half a year before you can get started. Don't worry, it's okay now." "Can I get started in half a year?" Jiang Fei's focus was obviously different. Lu Cheng's mouth twitched and said, "Most people who can't get started in half a year lose confidence and stop trying. Of course, there are also people with extraordinary perseverance. There was once a mighty one with physical invulnerability who took 3 years to master meditation. Well, you can practice the moving stance with me first." He taught Jiang Fei what he had just practiced. While he explained the problems, he seemed to have a better grasp of the moving stance. Teaching and learning helped each other. When Jiang Fei was barely able to practice a set of moves, he began to practice his fighting style at the side. Single whip, blast punch, hammer punch, leg whip, chain attack, continuous snapping, surging wind, made Jiang Fei stop in shock and watch with wide eyes. Even if he didn't know the kung fu, he could feel the fierceness and madness in it. He felt that he couldn't take a punch or a kick. He quickly came back to his senses and practiced the moving stance more diligently. In the end, Lu Cheng asked him to try meditation again, while he thought about how to integrate the power of flame into his martial arts. Although the flame was very weak, it was still a flame. It might have a miraculous effect if it burned the opponent at a critical moment. P.S. Don't forget the recommendation ticket. Chapter 78. In the morning mist, Lu Cheng glanced at Jiang Fei, who was standing with his eyes closed. He rubbed his thumb and index finger, and an orange-red flame flickered in the chilly wind, as if it would be extinguished at any moment. Bam! Lu Cheng shook his arm and tightened his muscles. He lashed out like a whip, tearing the airflow and suppressing the sound of the wind. Then, the flame was extinguished. It was extinguished by the wind caused by the relative movement. Judging from the current strength of the flame and the difficulty of maintaining it, I can't strike first and then attack. I have to match the two together. Lu Cheng confirmed a previous guess. He didn't name his own special ability lighter, purely out of bad taste. It also contained an important characteristic, which was that the activation of the flame required a process of activating the heat flow in the body. It couldn't purely rely on one's will. It was just like how a lighter had to have a strike action. Usually, Lu Cheng would use the action of rubbing his fingers to ignite the flame. However, it was obviously not suitable for actual combat unless he had the right time, place and people. After some consideration, he planned to combine the force of an ordinary attack with the ignition of the flame. He adjusted his breath slightly, raised his right arm, twisted his waist and threw a downward punch. The flame was ignited and wrapped around his fist. However, it was immediately extinguished by the wind while he was chopping down. Extinguished. Lu Cheng scratched his head awkwardly and glanced at Jiang Fei again. Seeing that Jiang Fei was so focused that he didn't notice it, he was relieved. He couldn't use this thing to embarrass himself before he succeeded. After some careful consideration, he analyzed the reason for his failure. He found that the normal force of the fist started from the moment of the punch and accumulated kinetic energy in the process. In other words, the flame had already been ignited when the punch was thrown out. The current strength was obviously not enough to withstand the long convection. The force of the fist when it is about to hit the enemy is just a short burst of 1-inch punch, right? I should be able to combine the force of the fist with the ignition of the flame. Lu Qing thought about it several times. He shook his arm and suddenly shot out like a big gun. He tried to drive the heat flow in the last burst of 1-inch punch. Bam! In a short burst of crisp sound, a little flame jumped out and covered the surface of Lu Qing's fist. Then it hit the assumed target. The flame shook and was quickly extinguished. However, Lu Qing's face showed a smile. He had basically achieved his goal. Although this kind of flame was not harmful for the time being and might not even be able to ignite clothes, it could still make the opponent feel pain at the critical moment. Lu Qing could make a mistake and seize the opportunity. If he used it well, it was possible to defeat a professional of professional ninth pin. Of course, it was a Saint Seiya move. Once it was used in front of the same opponent, it would be difficult for it the second time. He could only rely on surprise. After more than a day of thinking, Lu Qing finally had an idea on how to strengthen his power of blaze. That was to strengthen his own physique. This time, under the fire force of the Jindan, he was almost ruined, which meant that his body was not strong enough. But when he had the body of a professional ninth pin or even Danchi stage, it should not be a big problem for him to withstand that level of backlash. At that time, he could try to absorb the ice force and fire force of the Jindan in a controlled manner. While improving himself, he could gradually digest this hidden danger. Of course, this process was full of danger. He had to be very careful. If he accidentally drew out the force beyond the limit, it would be a big joke. Collecting his thoughts, Lu Qing practiced the 24 blizzard strikes again several times. He tried to integrate the flame power into the 1-inch punch. When he was familiar with it, he looked at Jiang Fei and said with a smile, "How is it? Do you feel the concealment of spirit and qi?" Jiang Fei opened his eyes and said with a sad face, "No." Then he pretended to be angry and said, "It must be because of you. How could I meditate when you were fighting next to me?" An old monk can meditate when there is someone next to him in the bridal chamber. Lu Qing said jokingly, "Let's go. You've almost reached your limit today. Let's go out for breakfast and then go back home." Jiang Fei breathed a sigh of relief and said, "Do you think I'll be so sore tomorrow morning that I have to rely on perseverance to get up?" Lu Qing smiled and said, "You don't have to wait until tomorrow morning. You'll feel the soreness later. But you'll get used to it after practicing for a few more days." When they passed by the Gushan Martial Arts School's morning exercise place again, Qin Rui suddenly shouted, "Fatty Jiang!" Lu Qing. They stopped and saw Qin Rui trotting closer. Qin Rui said with a smile, "There's something I need your help with." "What's the matter?" "We're two poor students. What can we do?" Jiang Fei was quite witty. He first blocked the possibility of borrowing money. Qin Rui said with a smile, "It's not a big deal. Fatty Jiang, aren't you helping to organize this class reunion?" "Yeah, what's the problem?" Jiang Fei was confused. Lu Qing was also confused. He did not know what Qin Rui wanted to ask for help. Qin Rui pointed to the people of the Gushan Martial Arts School and said, "Just now the disciples of the Mingwei Martial Arts School came to challenge us. They want to learn from each other and increase their actual combat experience. They don't want to embarrass Xioshan in the preliminaries. As for the time, they set it the day after tomorrow and let us choose the place. I want to attend the class reunion that day, so I propose to go to the north court of the conference villa of the spring scenery field. At that time, can you ask the homeroom teacher to organize and let the students come to cheer me on and support me?" Jiang Fei suddenly understood and said, "You want to be in the limelight and show off in front of your classmates?" "A little bit." Qin Rui said with a smile, "More importantly, we want to publicize the team that will participate in the preliminaries after the new year and make a name for ourselves. If everyone's performance is similar, the person in charge of the foundation will definitely take the popularity into consideration. Don't worry, we're in the north court and the class reunion is in the south court. We won't disturb everyone." The north court of the conference villa of the spring scenery field had a martial arts arena, while the south court mainly had leisure facilities for ordinary people. Jiang Fei roughly understood Qin Rui's idea, but he didn't want to take it all on himself. He said sincerely, Then I'll help you to tell the homeroom teacher. I can't decide what her attitude is, but we've all graduated. Who will pay special attention to her as the class monitor? You can come and shout a few times, and a bunch of guys who have nothing to do will definitely join in the fun. The homeroom teacher was not referring to the head teacher, but the class monitor for 3 years and the organizer of this class reunion, Chiu Hailin. Yeah, and old Wu will also be there. He's a fanatical martial arts fan. How can he not go and have a look? With him as the head teacher taking the lead, you don't have to worry about the other students not cheering for you. Lu Qing echoed. He understood Qin Rui's mentality very well. Once upon a time he had also yearned for someone to cheer his name, and this was finally realized in the Warrior Sage Challenge tournament. Moreover, it was more than fulfilled. Yenjika's cheer had won over all others. Qin Rui seemed to want to reach out and shake their hands, but he restrained himself. He said with a smile, "Okay, I'll come and shout a few times by myself." "Hey, that's not right." "What do you mean by, come?" "I'm here. I'm also here for the class reunion." After a few humorous words he said goodbye to Lu Qing and Jiang Fei and trotted back to the team for the morning exercise. Looking at his back, Jiang Fei murmured in a low voice, "What a show-off. It's okay. Who doesn't want that?" Lu Qing defended Qin Rui. After taking a few steps, Jiang Fei looked back and said jokingly, "Qing, why don't you jump on the stage, beat all your opponents and steal their limelight? You're not weaker than them, right?" "What's wrong with me?" Lu Qing laughed and scolded, "Why would I get involved in this? Their goal is the preliminaries, and mine is the National University Martial Arts Competition. We'll mind our own business. Even our circles are different." The two talked and laughed as they walked out of the park. They ate minced meat soup noodles and a bunch of other food at a nearby breakfast stall. "How are we going back?" Jiang Fei wiped his mouth. Lu Qing laughed and said, "Of course we're going back." Jiang Fei's face turned pale. "Brother Cheng, no, Master Cheng, if we go back again we'll really die. Look at how timid you are." "I'm just kidding." Lu Qing took out his phone, made an order and waited for the online taxi. Jiang Fei heaved a long sigh of relief and said, "I have to believe you. When you said we were going to Sanli Pavilion People's Park, I really thought you were joking. But it turns out you're not." Back at home, Lu Qing took a shower and felt refreshed. He had completely gotten rid of the lingering flu. Energetically, he turned on his computer, logged into QQ, and checked his email to see if Geezer Sure had sent him any videos or information. Obviously, Geezer Sure didn't get up so early when he didn't need to teach his disciple. Lu Qing didn't care. He clicked on the chat box with Yenjika and sent an emoji. "After the morning exercise, I feel alive again." Yenjika covered her mouth and laughed. "You're not Lu Daiyu anymore." Disappointed. "By the way, Kochien, I have something to ask you." Lu Qing sent an emoji with bright eyes. "Just say it. I'm in a good mood now." Yenjika sent an emoji with a hook finger. Lu Qing sent an emoji with a silly smile. "Didn't I earn a bonus of 15,000 yuan this time? Besides treating you to a big meal and a tour in Songqing, I want to buy a gift for my parents. It's the first real gift, a gift to support myself. What do you think should be a good gift?" He tried to let Yenjika participate more in his affairs and strengthen the closeness between them. Of course he really didn't know what to buy. Yenjika sent an emoji with a dumbfounded expression. "I haven't met your parents and don't know what they like. How can I give you advice? You tell them and I'll help you." Lu Qing thought for a while and said, "How about clothes and pants?" "That's fine." Yenjika crossed her hands and put a thoughtful emoji on her chin. "Then here comes the question. Do you know what size clothes your parents wear? XL or XXL? What's their waist?" Lu Qing's expression was dull and he replied with a string of ellipses. "I knew it. So, a son is not as considerate as a daughter." Yenjika sent an emoji with a helpless expression. That's why I like a daughter too." Lu Qing followed and replied. On this topic they chatted for a while before getting back on track. Lu Qing asked, "How about I ask my parents directly?" "Well, that's not a surprise. Are your parents at home? When they're not home you can go through their wardrobes. Then you'll know. And you can also see what kind of clothes they lack. Of course, don't be too extravagant. Buy a coat or something like that. You have to save your money. When you reach the dance stage in the future, you can't do without the help of medicine soup." Yenjika sent an emoji with a righteous expression. "You're right, Coach Yen." Lu Qing answered excitedly. He left his room, entered the master bedroom and opened the wardrobe. "Well, this jacket, how long has my dad been wearing it?" I remember that I had an impression of it before I graduated from primary school. His woolen sweater had a lot of bumps, and some parts were so thin that they were almost torn. Mom's thermal long johns look so old. How many years has she been wearing them? Lu Qing looked through them one by one. This was an area that he had never paid attention to before. He always thought that after his family situation improved, his parents' clothes would have been replaced long ago, just like his own. But now, he saw with his own eyes that they were still so thrifty even after buying some clothes to keep up appearances. It seemed that they wanted to save every penny to spend on themselves. Most of the things in the wardrobe are years old, right? It seems that if they don't wear them until they're worn out, they won't be able to wear them again unless they're mended. Lu Qing's eyes reddened slightly. He took a deep breath and his emotions seemed to have settled down. He felt more sorry for his parents. He checked the size and other information, closed the wardrobe, returned to his room, and sent a message to Yanjika. I'm going to buy a woolen sweater for my dad and 2 sets of thermal long johns for my mom. After asking about the size, Yanjika selected some clothes online and sent a few styles to Lu Qing. These are not bad. You can choose by yourself. When the time comes, you can buy them directly from their physical store. They may be a little more expensive, but you're a nouveau riche, manual squint. Express delivery will not be restored until after the new year. What a pity. After settling this matter, Yanjika went to practice martial arts. Lu Qing played games for a while. Suddenly, he heard the sound of the door opening and the familiar cough. Mom and Dad are back. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.